Hello once again, you wonderful, wonderful people. I hope you're all doing very well on this Tuesday afternoon. Fletch here with another Fletch Talks live stream. And we're going to be talking Isak again today. Look, I'm sick of talking about it. I'm bored. I really wish we should get like a final. Here we go from Fabrizio Romano any day now. I'm really hoping that Newcastle just in and we just get this over and done with. Personally, I see it being inevitable that Liverpool are going to sign Alexander Isak. But yet, here we are talking about this long drawn out saga yet again with the new year. Liverpool are ready to go. They're probably going to submit it very soon. Newcastle are potentially on the verge of finally getting a striker over the line. There's talk of maybe Johan Visser being done and dusted as early as the end of the week. We may be able to finally get somewhere with this situation, guys. It's only taken about however long it has been. But the big news today is that this situation has just reached all new levels of toxic and chaos. And we're going to be diving into it later on in this live stream. As always, hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And get involved in the chat. I would love to hear from you all and what you have to say about this situation or about any other footballing situation that you want to talk about today. It doesn't have to just be about Alexander Isak and Liverpool. There is also other stuff going on, if you can believe it. If you guys want to talk about anything, whether it be about Premier League predictions, maybe, whether it be about certain other clubs, certain other transfers, you name it, you put it in the chat. And if it makes for great and interesting conversation, we will discuss it. So please do get involved. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. And I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all doing, I don't know if I mentioned it at the top of it, but I hope you're all doing very well in yourselves and your own lives. That's very, very important, of course. Marco, lovely to have you here, bro. Nice and early. Love it. Hope you're doing good, my bro. Do you think Liverpool's poor performance in the final the other day could speed up things with Isak? I mean, Van Dijk came out after the game, didn't he? And basically said that we definitely do need a striker. And it was evident that we did, because as soon as Ekitike came off, we had just nothing up front. We had absolutely nothing up front. We had no one running in the channels, no one offering anything in the attacking third once Ekitike came off. It made for poor viewing. And, you know, it was one of the areas we suggested needed to obviously be reinforced. Obviously, we were always going to be getting rid of Darwin Núñez. The Jota situation, obviously, extremely unfortunate and obviously very, very heartbreaking. So, with all of that being taken into account, we definitely needed to beef up that area. But again, it's not on Isak. It's not really on Liverpool. It's more on Newcastle. I mean, everybody keeps saying that for 150 million, Newcastle would accept it. And I find it hard to believe. I don't think they necessarily would until they get a striker through the door. I really, really don't think they would. I think we could offer them, I mean, assuming it, unless it's some sort of stupid number, like 300, 400 million or something, I don't think they'd accept anything around that kind of area, 150. Everyone keeps saying 150, 150, 150. I don't think it would be. I really don't think it would be. But if it does get to a point where Newcastle still can't get anyone over the line, I think we probably should test that 150 prediction out, in all honesty. And speaking of predictions, by the way, just wanted to throw this out there. My Premier League predictions video did go up this morning. Feel free to check that out as and when you please. If you could, that'd be great. And also, let me know your predictions. I'm intrigued to know what you guys are thinking. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Chances are you probably disagree with me. But I'd love to know what you guys are thinking and feeling about all of that good stuff. So, Isak, Liverpool, Newcastle, this incredible, long drawn out saga. There is news dropping all the time on this. Little tidbits of news every so often. But this morning it was absolute chaos. So the situation, we'll go over the situation and what's being said about it later on. But this is what was said by David Ornstein this morning. This has reached all new levels, by the way, of toxicity and chaos. Alexander Isak adamant he will not play for Newcastle again. Even if window closes without exit, the 25-year-old views Newcastle career over and no wish to reintegrate. Clubs say not for sale, but exploring the market amid Liverpool interest, and striker wants LFC. He wants the move. He wants to move and he sees no way back. He sees all his bridges being burnt. There is no way back. I think, obviously, Isak is trying to force Newcastle's hand here. Obviously, Isak's basically saying, I don't care if you get a striker in or not. You have to let me go. You have to let me go. And look, I know that some people will call it unprofessional and they won't like it. And certain people will obviously hate it, and some people will like it, and some people like me will be a little bit on the fence with the conduct of Alexander Isak in this situation, because, as I've mentioned before, we enjoy, as football fans, when it is good for our team. We enjoy things like this when they are positive for our own team, but when it happens against us, we are somewhat hypocritical. Newcastle fans should know what I'm talking about. They're angry at the conduct of Alexander Isak in this situation, but they are more than happy to try and throw their weight around when it comes to Brentford and Johan Visser, for example. So there is a level of hypocrisy there. And I think with some Liverpool fans, because I don't like to obviously just throw mud at everybody else, I do try and keep it fair. For some Liverpool fans, they may, certain other fans may see Liverpool fans, certain ones, being somewhat hypocritical when it obviously came to the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation. Yes, there is context that needs to be applied because there is a little bit different on Trent than there is Isak, but there is still parallels to be drawn upon. There are still similarities in both stories. And so it is a whole level of toxicity that has just been upgraded in this scenario. Isak doesn't see a way back. Now, that's not to say that those bridges can't be mended. That isn't to say that this story ends with him definitely going to Liverpool, because there is still a slim possibility that he might not be going to Liverpool. It seems to be getting slimmer and slimmer by the day, but it's not impossible. I would bet safe money that he does go to Liverpool in the end. I think Newcastle are going to try and delay this as much as possible. I think that they're probably going to delay it at least beyond the game between Liverpool and Newcastle in the second game of the season, a week on Sunday. I would imagine that Newcastle would not want Isak to return to St. James's Park on probably what would be his debut. Well, it probably would be his debut now. On what could have been his debut for Liverpool, turn up at St. James's Park and score right off the bat. It would be incredible. It would be phenomenal, but it probably won't be happening. If Newcastle are to let him go, they probably will try to put off that potential move until after that game has played out. But it does seem like what I've been saying all summer, and what a lot of you have been saying all summer as well, Newcastle were facing a very big losing battle in trying to keep Alexander Isak, and that is seemingly what is set to play out here. David Ornstein dropped that bomb this morning. As David here says, big up David, hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. He says that breaking, Alexander Isak has moved out of his Newcastle home as he tries to force a transfer to Liverpool. Though that was the news that was coming out in the immediate aftermath of Ornstein's bomber that he dropped this morning. It's very toxic. It is very toxic. Now, the move out of his home, I don't know. It's crazy, but it's strange. Like, it all transpires. It all comes out after the initial news. But let's face it, he does have 3 years left on his contract. There is no release clause. That's the annoying thing here. And this is what I think a lot of players should take note of. If you're going to sign long-term deals, have a get-out clause. Have a get-out clause just to get this. Because these things happen. And every single time, the story starts off the same. The player doesn't want to sour his relationship with the fans. The player doesn't want to seem disrespectful to the team that gave him an opportunity and a chance. But it never works out that way. It always ends up being like this. It always ends up being dragged through the mud. So, I mean, I thought we saw it with Harry Kane at Tottenham when obviously he wanted to move and Bayern and Man City wouldn't come in with the money yet. And then he ended up going to Bayern the year after. I thought we saw that with him, and I thought we were getting to a point now where everybody would have taken note and gone, I will sign that long-term deal, but only if I get a release clause. Only if that release clause is realistic and it is to everybody's liking. I just don't understand why players do this. Because at least if there's a release clause in there, there's a bit of respect. There's a bit of legitimacy within the negotiations. And therefore, then clubs can learn where they are in the kind of food chain. Fans can't really have too much of an issue with it all. They paid the money, they paid the valuation, and then you can put it all on the club. Which, by the way, I'll say this right now. Newcastle fans, why you're turning on Isak in this situation? Like, I know he may not have exactly conducted himself in the best possible way in these negotiations, in this situation, but the fact that you're not I mean, it doesn't seem like you're completely angry at the club, but the way that I would be if I was a Newcastle fan is I'd be angry at the club. A club that failed to prepare for your biggest transfer window in your history. No sporting director. You're constant. You don't seem to have a plan or a vision at Newcastle other than we want to get here, but we don't know the steps it will take to get there. You've been rejected by near enough every single target, barring 2 targets that nobody else wanted, seemingly, in Anthony Elanga and Aaron Ramsdale. No one seemingly wanted them, which is why you ended up getting them. Johan Visser is literally crying out for you to buy him. And for whatever reason, the deal is taking an eternity to get done, which I think further backs up my potential point of you want to buy him next week or the week after, where after the Liverpool-Newcastle game. It just seems crazy to me that that Newcastle as a club are seemingly getting out of this a little bit unscathed. Because if this is my club acting this way, I'm not just talking about, I'm not just saying it from the perspective of a Liverpool fan who wants our club to go and buy Isak, but the constant rejection. As a Liverpool fan, I know what that's like because we've faced constant rejection for a number of years from a number of top players. And just understanding where you are in the food chain. You're not that club yet. You have the money to be, but you're not that club yet. You are still fairly mid in the food chain when in comparison to the traditional top six, I guess you could say. You're still below them. That's the reality of it. And you're bored for one reason or another, decided to go into this transfer window, the biggest transfer window in your club's history, completely unprepared. And if it is genuine and legitimate that Isak himself went to the club and said, look, this is my final season, I want out, the fact that you either decided to dismiss what he was saying and tried to be overly confident in the fact that you could probably keep him and you could change his mind just by obtaining Champions League football, or you just failed to prepare again, is insane to me. Absolutely insane to me. And I don't get why Newcastle fans aren't calling this out more. Maybe they will after the transfer saga's over. I don't know. But it should be called out more. The club has failed to prepare, and therefore you must prepare to fail. That's what strikes me as odd in this situation. And by the way, I'll just say it right now. In my Premier League predictions video, I'll just say this as a spoiler. I put you as 9th. I said that if you manage to somehow rebuild your bridges with Isak, obviously your chances of going greater and beyond that position increase. But I've got to say, I am a little worried for Newcastle this season. And you add Champions League football on top of that, it could be a very mediocre season for Newcastle. It really, really could. I do kind of worry. And the knock-on effect that could have is that if you were to take a giant step back this season, it's not just going to be Isak that goes this year, but next year, Tonali could go, Guimarães could go, Livramento's already looking at Manchester City as a sort of, come and get me. What about if Lewis Hall continues his progression? What about Lewis Miley? Anthony Gordon? Potentially like Harvey Barnes? What about these players? What about these players that are seeing this project somewhat seemingly crumble around them? Seeing players that Newcastle have been trying to obtain all summer reject them for other clubs. And I'm not just talking about clubs that are in Champions League like a Liverpool or like a Chelsea, but Man United, Manchester United, Brian Mbeumo, Mateus Cunha, Benjamin Sesko all chose Manchester United over Newcastle. And Isak's looking around going, well, what the hell are we doing? We've got all this money, but we've got no pull. How are we advancing and progressing to our goal of being a major player in English football and European football again if we can't sign these players? What is this project doing? And then they're looking around going, well, we can't get him. We can't get him. Our main striker, our talisman, wants to leave as well. It's absolute chaos at Newcastle. It really, really is. And again, maybe Newcastle fans are calling out the club, and rightfully so. But it's just so bizarre. So bizarre. Let's go to some of these comments. just saw your Premier League predictions video. It's spot on, in my opinion. I would just swap Villa and Manchester United, and I got Arsenal a bit higher than 4th and Sunderland a bit higher. Fair enough, man. I mean, like I say, my reasoning for Man United is I just got a funny feeling that that having no European football of any kind, one game a week, I just think it will benefit them in the long run. Arsenal, again, I've toyed around with Arsenal in the top 4. I think the top 4 is pretty much set. I think everybody that makes a prediction video has pretty much got the same top 4 that I have. I've messed around with Arsenal. I put them first, I put them second, I put them third, but I ended up putting them 4th. And Sunderland, again, I was toying with them and Leeds, and I was going around and around with that. And in the end, I landed on I landed on where I landed on. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. Let's put it that way. And maybe I will review it at the end of the campaign, which I'm dreading because usually they don't really end well for me. So we shall see. We shall see. Isak might be done with Newcastle, but Newcastle is not done with him. Contract is a contract. That's the sticking point, bro. That's the sticking point. A contract is a contract, and like I say, if there's no release clause, there's pretty much no way out unless Newcastle grant it. And you know, I think at this point, and I'm just saying it again because I want obviously him at Liverpool, but Newcastle probably should just cut their losses, in all honesty. Take the money and run, because the longer it drags out, the more it could hinder what they potentially get for him. It might come back to bite them. People who say Isak is better than Haaland need to relax. I mean, I would say they're two different strikers. I'd say Isak has got more mobility. Isak is someone that will not just create for himself, but he will also create for the others around him. Haaland can do that, but maybe not as consistently as what Isak does. But Haaland is probably the more deadly finisher. It depends how you play. If you funnel everything to Haaland, if you're a team that funnels everything to the striker, go with Haaland. If you are a team that, like Liverpool, likes to have that mobility, that fluidity in attack, has got, you know, Salah on one side, Gakpo on the other, Florian Wirtz going through the middle, then you go with an Isak. Look at how it worked with Ekitike on Sunday. We're getting that, but slightly more polished in Isak. The fluidity, the movement, the mobility, the interchange, everything we are getting with Ekitike is going to be a bit more finely polished with Isak. But if we obviously do need to play Ekitike over Isak for whatever reason, whether it's rest, injury, whatever, it's not too much of it is a drop off, but it's not too much of a drop off. And plus, it's pretty much like for like in a way, pretty much like for like. The movie Goal 2005, I watched as a small kid, made me low-key a Newcastle fan. What a movie. What a film Goal is, man. What a film Goal is awesome. I haven't watched it in a long, long time, but it is genuinely a very, very good film. Second one, not so much. But yeah, Goal is a quality film. Quality film. Big up Luca Talks Dons. Go and subscribe to my guy Luca, doing some amazing stuff over on his channel. He did a Premier League predictions video himself yesterday, which was very, very good. So go and check out his video. He is mainly an MK Dons fan. He's doing some mainly MK Dons based stuff, but every so often he will talk Arsenal. So if you want to broaden your footballing horizons, go and check out Luca Talks Dons, doing some awesome stuff, and he's a really good guy. Jordan Hyman's in the building as well, my guy. I hope you're doing well, bro. again, another one that you should be going and subscribing to. Jordan is doing a lot of stuff right now. And yeah, he's doing some pretty awesome content. So please do check out Jordan's channel and go and support him if you please. Ozan, my brother, how you doing, mate? Hope you're good. Lovely to have you on board with us. Santiago Muniz going to Real Madrid from Newcastle. They would. I don't even. To be fair, Newcastle's pull is so bad that they probably couldn't even get Santiago Muniz even now. Oh, what are they like? What are they like, man? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But yes, Isak, Liverpool. Big stuff going on right now. And like I say, big news this morning that he's basically refusing to go back to Newcastle. He's essentially refusing. He's basically refusing to go back to Newcastle. Bridges are seemingly burnt there. It's crazy to me. This whole situation is just crazy. It's just entering new levels. And here's the thing as well. So the reports are that allegedly Isak told Newcastle last season at some point that sorry, I've lost train of thought. Allegedly, right, I'll start again. Reports are that last season, at some point, Alexander Isak told Newcastle, I want out of Newcastle at the end of the season. I want out of Newcastle at the end of the season. And that's all there is to it. And we'll do it in a very respectful way. I just feel like my career can elevate elsewhere. Something along them lines. What has happened since, I think, is that they tried to keep it as much behind closed doors as possible to be respectful. Again, it's that whole respect thing. I don't want to sour my relationship with the fans. I don't want to seem like I'm disrespecting the club, blah, blah, blah. But what's happened is that whilst Newcastle probably said to Isak, we'll do everything we can to help you with this, they've not helped him with it. And what I think has happened is that over the course of the transfer window, Isak's realised that his best opportunity of getting out of Newcastle this year is Liverpool. As I mentioned earlier in the summer, Barcelona don't have the money. Real Madrid, PSG, Bayern Munich, seemingly not as interested. Man City have Haaland. Arsenal have Gyökeres. And Man United are not currently in a position that is attractive enough for Isak. So by process of elimination, he probably realised that Liverpool were the best bet. Liverpool are an attractive team already. He wanted Liverpool. There we go. It goes hand in hand, right? So he's seen that. And then he's seen that Liverpool have actually come in for him. He's agreed personal terms with Liverpool, as reported over a month ago. And then he's seen that Liverpool has gone to Newcastle. And rather than entertain the idea of selling Isak and helping get a price, instead, what has happened is that Newcastle instantly dismissed and rejected Liverpool's approaches. Now, obviously, this is what we're saying if the whole Isak thing is true. If Isak genuinely did go to the club and say he wanted out, then we're taking that as true as of right now for this hypothetical situation. As soon as it was rejected and Liverpool basically gave Newcastle the ultimatum of, we'll either take your best player or we'll take your top target, Liverpool instantly moved on to Newcastle's top target. Boom. Deal was done. Deal was done and dusted right there and then. They signed Ekitike. And Isak's there like going, what the hell are you doing? This is pretty much my only option this summer. This is the best option for me. It's already a great club. It's already got great history. It is already a club where I could feel at home and I would suit it and bed in straight away. And even though we had that discussion about this being my last season at Newcastle, you've completely gone against my wishes. I am now going to take this public, because the thing that has always bugged me a little bit throughout this entire saga is, why did it not come out that Isak had told the club that he was exploring his options, or this would be his final season, until after Liverpool had signed Ekitike? Why? That's the bit that kind of a little bit bugs me in this situation. And it kind of makes me feel like maybe that didn't actually happen. Maybe Isak didn't make his feelings to the club clear. But I don't know. There is enough reporting out there to suggest that it probably did happen, and it actually did happen. I don't know. It keeps on going on in my head. Like I don't know the full. Obviously, I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but there's just something weird about it that we go and sign Ekitike, and then suddenly it all spills out in public. It all gets more and more toxic. It all comes out that Isak told the club he wanted to leave. He told the club allegedly last summer. He told the club 2 weeks before the season ended. And in my opinion, if that is all genuinely true, then Newcastle either were overly confident that they could change his mind just by obtaining Champions League football, or once again, Newcastle failed to prepare for this situation. One of the two, if Isak made his feelings clear. If he did. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But it's just a little thing in this situation that is going round and round in my head. It's it just keeps on going round in my head, and I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that kind of that little that little kind of thread of the story here, but I'm interested to know what you guys are thinking and feeling about that. Big up Alejandro. Don't think I've seen you here before, bro, but welcome along to the channel. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Liverpool bid will be 118 million plus 12 million in add-ons, 130 million in total. There is an agreement done already. This is happening, and there is no way back, unfortunately, for Newcastle. What's your source, dude? I would love to know what your source is on that. I hope you're right, by the way. I really do hope you're right. But that could potentially be big news. I mean, IndyCaler is apparently dropping some big news at 2:00 in regards to Liverpool Newcastle. So whether he does or not, we remain to be seen. And I never thought I'd see the day where I'm basically waiting on an IndyCaler tweet. Kyler, IndyCaler tweet. Never thought I'd be seeing the day where I'm waiting on a tweet from them in regards to Liverpool. It's mad, absolutely mad. But this is the world we live in now. We live in a world in which IndyCaler is actually a very credible source. So this shows you how crazy this transfer window is. But apparently he's dropping some news at 2:00 in regards to the Alexander Isak situation. Could be very interesting. We shall wait and see. Maybe Alejandro's ahead of the curve on that one. Who knows? But yeah, I hope it's true. And big up yourself. Like I say, welcome along to the channel and to the live stream. Should actually just bring that just in case. There we are. Ozan says, Fletch, just play devil's advocate. If a Liverpool player did what Isak is doing, wouldn't you be upset as well? I mentioned at the top of the stream, bro. Like, as football fans, we are naturally hypocritical. And that's, obviously, it's not great. It's not right. It's wrong. But as I mentioned in this video, and as I mentioned in the video that I did yesterday, when I was talking about a certain Luke Edwards of the Daily Telegraph. I have seen no Newcastle fan complain about the current situation with Johan Visser at Brentford. No Newcastle fan out there is saying what a disgrace it is that Johan Visser is crying out for a move to Newcastle, and he's doing this and he's doing that and he's doing the other. And no Newcastle fan is calling it out. No Newcastle fan is calling it out, because we as football fans are hypocritical. We as footballing fans, if the news is positive for our team, we ignore the negative side of the story. If the news is negative for our team, we try everything to cope, to make us think it's not as bad as it seems. It's not as bad as it seems, and it's the other club that are horrible. It's the other party in this situation that are the bad guys. We are, as football fans, hypocritical. And to answer your question, think about the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation. A lot of Liverpool fans weren't happy with the way that he somewhat entertained the idea, or seemingly, I should say, entertained the idea of going to Real Madrid for over 2 years. A lot of Liverpool fans were not happy. A small section of Liverpool fans just got on with it. Certain ones were on the fence. In these types of situations, I'm a fence sitter. Because at the end of the day, a footballer's career is very short-lived. And the only thing I can fault Alexander Isak for completely in this is the way that he signed a long-term contract, knowing that it would be a big gamble, without really a get-out clause. No buyout clause. There's no buyout clause in his contract, it seems. And because of that, that's on Isak. The same way it was with Harry Kane. The same way that it was with Harry Kane when obviously he wanted out of Tottenham. If he really wanted out of Tottenham, he should understand who Tottenham are. He should have understood where they are in the food chain, where they are in the league, where they are in terms of the big gamble it would have taken at the time to get them to being champions or winning some sort of silverware. He should have understood that better. And because of that, he should have demanded a release clause in his contract that would have been realistic and opportunistic in case he decided, you know what, I want out. But the problem is, I've got a contract to uphold. But if I had a release clause in it, somewhat, a little bit, out of the hands of everybody. So, I'm a fence sitter in this situation. I'm not completely all for how Isak's conducted himself, and I get that. But at the same time, I understand that a footballer's career is pretty short-lived, especially the prime years, and especially opportunities. They don't necessarily come around too often. Next season, Isak could go and, touch wood, he doesn't do this, but he could go and have a long-term injury, and that could, ruin everything for him. That could ruin his career, and that could ruin everything if he's still at Newcastle. It could ruin any opportunity at making a big move. And it could ruin an opportunity at maybe winning silverware. It could ruin an opportunity that he's going to continue to develop and progress as a footballer. Things like that can happen. So the only thing I'm faulting Isak for completely in this is not getting a release clause put into his contract. Am I too crazy about the way that he's decided to trade alone and turn around to the club and said, I'm not wanting to play for you anymore? It's not great. It's not ideal. But it's a footballer's career, man. It's a footballer's career. And it doesn't exactly last too long. You kind of got to get in and make the most of, let's say you come through at 18 and you're looking to retire by the time you're 34. You've got at least 16 years of a career. It seems a long time, but not really. Not really. Like, it can go by very, very quickly. And like I say, there are other factors to consider. There are injuries to factor in. There are opportunities that may not come around again. Things like that. So it's a very good question, and it's a very debatable one, because I imagine it will divide a lot of opinions, because I imagine there are some people out there that are, fully against what Isak's doing, but there will be some people that are encouraging it, shall we say. But I want to know if those people that are on either side of the fence, I want to know if they will be hypocritical when it comes to their own team, or whether they will actually be consistent in terms of calling it out when they see it. So far, like I say, I've not seen a single Newcastle fan or Newcastle journalist call out Brentford and not call out Brentford, but call out Johan Visser for his conduct at Brentford. So I'm just saying. By the way, I did enjoy somewhat that video yesterday that I did. I did actually kind of enjoy it a little bit. It was actually quite fun. I should do more stuff like that, obviously when appropriate. But no, calling out mainstream media and calling out people like that is crazy. Like I say, it wasn't exactly great what Luke Edwards did. And the hypocrisy stank. The hypocrisy stank, and the lies stank even more. I still can't believe he basically said he I still can't believe, like, he stated that there is no players currently on the market for Newcastle, or no strikers on the market for Newcastle. And all the while he's saying that, it's like there are reports out there going, Newcastle are after Nicholas Jackson. Newcastle are after Ollie Watkins. Newcastle are after this Samu guy. Newcastle are after this striker and this striker and this striker. And I'm like, you're a muppet, mate. You're an absolute muppet. And he wouldn't, and they're coming from credible sources as well. The interest reports are coming from credible sources, like an Ornstein or like a Romano, for example, just to name obviously the main two. But he never call them out. The guy would never call them out and be like, you're lying. So if it was genuine, and if they weren't going after strikers, why hasn't he called them out? Must be true, in my opinion, right? It must be true. And Ornstein validated Indicator for the work. Yeah, exactly, man. That guy has had a monumental glow up this summer. Monumental glow up. I don't know what has changed. I don't know what the hell has happened. But the guy's getting validated by David Ornstein. The guy's breaking some phenomenal stories at will. I mean, he broke one. He broke the Rodrigo story yesterday. He broke the Eze story this morning. In regards to him potentially now going to Tottenham, which would be friggin' amazing if Tottenham managed to get Eze. Not just for Tottenham, but also just to take him off of Arsenal's hands would be hilarious. And he broke another story last night, which I don't know if it's genuine or not. I don't know if this one is genuine or not. But he claimed that Man City were going after Vinny Jr., apparently. Or they at least had rumoured interest, shall we say, in Vinny Jr., which, again, would be another phenomenal story. Like, if that one actually was genuine, if that one was genuine, Jesus Christ. He'd be the GOAT. He'd be better than Ornstein. He'd be better than Romano. He'd go from relegation zone to champions instantly. Oh, what's he put? All right, here we go, people. Here we go. Let's just see all together. I've not read it. I've just seen his Twitter, but let's just see all together what is going on with this. Hold on, I'm in the middle of summer. What the hell is going on? Exclusive. Liverpool make offer, and Isak advised to not to enter city centre alone. Jesus Christ. The situation with Alexander Isak and Newcastle is reaching a boiling point. Tensions are so high that some officials and players are completely ignoring him around the training ground. It's clear there's a rift. Sources suggest that Captain Jamal Lascelles has even advised the club owners to consider Isak's wishes, indicating Jamal Lascelles is still the Newcastle captain. What the hell is going on there? Indicating that this isn't just a minor issue and could affect the harmony going forward. Adding to the saga, Isak has been told to avoid being seen alone in Newcastle city centre while Liverpool interest is ongoing. Jesus Christ. We understand Liverpool are offering 120 million up front with potential add-ons, pushing the bid to the total to a staggering 125 million pounds. Newcastle haven't rejected this latest proposal, but will only accept once new replacements arrive. Wow. Obviously, again, we're obviously take everything that you hear and you see with a pinch of salt. I'm not saying we should believe everything that comes out of the mouth of anyone and everyone, and especially in this situation with it being Indicator. But that is insane. That is freaking sane. Insane for a number of reasons. Like, insane that like if let's just take it as being true. Insane that Isak's being ignored. Insane of the level of rise in tension and disharmony that it's creating. Insane at everything. Even the club captain is now just involved and just said, like, look, we just need to move on from this. We need to just nip this in the bud and move on. And then to make matters worse, like, he's been advised not to be seen alone in the city centre. What the hell? What the hell is... That's insane. That is absolutely insane. And then the last bit, again, if this is true, it seems that we may have found... We may have come to some sort of agreement on Isak of 120 plus 5 million. But it's not going to happen until Newcastle get replacements, which we knew from the beginning anyway. So that's the only bit that that's not really new here. But that is insane. That is absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about that potential massive update there from Indy Kyler. What are you reading from that? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Like, for me, I think we found our acceptable bid. I think we found it. I just think until this is through the door, it's not going to be accepted, obviously. And as I said before, I think Newcastle are probably holding off on things until after the Liverpool-Newcastle game. But could you imagine that game is going to be insane. The Liverpool-Newcastle game is going to be absolute fire. Possibly literally as well, with how toxic things have gotten now. That is mad to me. A lot of footballers will be looking to play 16 years. I just pulled it out of the air. I just pulled a random number out of the air and just did it from there. But you kind of get my point. A footballer's career is it's not exactly as long as you probably think. Bayern Munich have rejected the possibility to sign Rasmus Højlund, offered by Manchester United this week, says Sky Sports Deutschland. Yeah, I mean, obviously with the incoming of Benjamin Sesko, it does seem like Højlund's career at United is up, but no one seems to have the funds to want him. I know Inter wanted him, but they didn't have the funds to pay for it. I think AC Milan were interested. Newcastle need a striker. Newcastle need a striker. Come on, Magpies, wake up. The opportunities and the strikers are right there. Just take one. Come on. Big up, Luca. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. Jordan, apparently he wants you to unblock him. No idea. What's Liverpool's plan B if not Isak? I don't think we have a plan B. At least not right now, anyway. The only thing I can think of plan B wise is we don't get a striker, but we get like a winger who can play as a striker. That's the only plan B I think we've got. Because obviously we were looking at Barcola. I don't know if that deal went any further than just rumoured interest. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know what the plan B would be. I don't think we need a plan B. I don't think we'll need a plan B. I think the Isak thing will eventually get done, even if it does go down to the frigging wire of the final day of the transfer window. But it is going to be interesting to see, just in case we actually do need one. I've got no idea what's going on, but yeah, we'll leave it at that. True Geordie will body Isak when he meets him in downtown Newcastle. Hence, Isak was warned. I mean, he did threaten... Well, he did say that if Isak was to pick up a career-threatening injury, he'd have no sympathy. Again, I understand why certain Newcastle fans are angry at Isak's conduct in this situation, but why you're not looking mainly at the club... I don't know. It's the club's fault. It's the club. Well, partially the club's fault. And he's been saying some weird things anyway in this entire situation. Some of the clips and stuff that I've seen, he's been saying some really, really weird stuff about Isak and about Newcastle and about their current situation with PSR and FFP and stuff. And I'm like, I get why you're upset. I get why you're angry. And, you know, you're not completely wrong in what you're saying, but I do think there is a bigger picture that maybe you're not quite seeing on certain aspects. But, yeah, it is what it is. I rate Visser over Højlund. If Newcastle was ambitious, they get both. Maybe rent one of them. Well, they need two strikers. They need two. I think one striker through the door will allow Isak to leave anyway, and then it's like they can then go and get the other one of their own accord. But I mean, Premier League wise, at least for the last season, Visser over Højlund any day. I don't know, man. I still think there is something with Højlund. I still think there is something with him. Probably not to the level that I thought he would be when he first came to Manchester United, but I still think there is something with him that maybe being a club with less pressure may help him. But then again, any striker that walks into Newcastle right now is going to be expected to get the same amount of goals as Isak. Is going to be expected to have the same level of impact as Isak. So it's not necessarily like more pressure to play for Newcastle from Manchester United, but there is still going to be a certain level of pressure. Would Højlund actually match that? I don't know. But yeah, I think this is literally at Brentford crying out to them to come and get him. So I imagine that deal will get done, but I imagine it will probably get done next week. Towards the end of next week, when they can get Visser, they can then accept Liverpool's offer, and then Newcastle will sell Isak, and then Isak won't be able to play for the Liverpool-Newcastle game. But it does mean that if that does happen, Isak's debut will be against Arsenal. The only downside is that obviously he's not really had a pre-season, so it may take some time for match fitness to build and stuff like that. So that's the only downside with this whole thing. Because they've dragged it out, it means that there's been no pre-season for Alexander Isak. Now, allegedly, he has been injured, but I don't know. It's pretty amazing that Liverpool still need to spend more after spending so much already. The squad is not complete yet. Really need a striker. Laugh at Darwin, what you want, but he is gone. Here's the thing. I was saying this all season long. I was saying we need a clear out this summer. We need a clear out this summer. There are some players that are past their use-by date. There are some players that don't need to be here anymore. There are some players that are just not in Arne Slot's plans. And we need a clear out. And to be fair to us, we've started to do that. Kelleher left, and good for him, because he's now going to be number one at Brentford. And I think that was for the betterment of his career. Obviously, Trent's gone. Like you say, Núñez has gone. And I think, again, that was probably best for all parties involved. Diaz has gone, which I think, again, is really good for Liverpool, considering the money that we got for him. And maybe one or two others are going to be following out the door. Jarell Kwanzaa's gone. We've got good money for him. And we also managed to include a buyback clause that will become active in a couple of years' time, just in case he does progress. So there's a lot there that we did right in terms of outgoings. The squad was already somewhat not the best in terms of depth anyway. I don't think it's why a lot of Liverpool fans last season were going into the campaign going, I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready for this season. We've got a fair few positions that need strengthening and reinforcing. And, you know, we've done really well with recruiting Kerkez, recruiting Frimpong, recruiting Wirtz, getting Ekitike in. We've done well in building certain positions. And, you know, the unfortunate passing of Diogo Jota as well. We shouldn't forget that as well. It is looking like our squad is still weak in certain areas, or at least not reinforced in certain areas, and that is genuine. But I mentioned it yesterday. I don't remember if it was you who brought it up, but I mentioned it yesterday, or it might have been Balam actually. I don't see anybody in this Premier League being completely ready yet. I still think that you can go to every single team, no matter how much they have spent or not spent in this transfer window, and go, you still need more. You still need a bit more. Liverpool still need a centre-back. Liverpool still need a striker. Liverpool probably still do need a left winger. Arsenal still needs some creativity in that midfield. Arsenal still need some creativity in that midfield. Man United still need to find, competent goalkeeper. Chelsea also need to find a competent goalkeeper and maybe even more in the defence, in my opinion. So I think you can look at every team and you can go, are you really ready? Are you fully at full capacity for the season? And I'd say arguably not. I think City's defence still needs some work being done. Romano's just put something very interesting about City. Now we've just Pep Guardiola remains a big admirer of Gianluigi Donnarumma, despite Manchester City's recent signing of James Trafford. The Donnarumma one is going to be interesting. The Donnarumma one is very much going to be very interesting and something that we should be definitely looking at and just keeping an eye on. Just keeping an eye on. But I got sidetracked there a little bit. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. We still need to buy, even though we have bought a lot already. But we needed to do that last year and we didn't. So we're kind of catching up on at least 2 years worth of purchases and players that we should have bought last year. And Darwin was not that bad. At least he was a real striker. Not good enough for Liverpool. Not good enough for Liverpool, unfortunately, for Núñez. Newcastle, Prison FC already got the colours. Fair. Liverpool should get Ferran Torres. He is really good nowadays. Is that you just trying to shift Ferran Torres onto us to get money? I feel like if he was that good, bro, you wouldn't be trying to get rid of your own player. I feel like someone's trying to get rid of a player in order for them to just shift him on. He's going Saudi, isn't he? Is he not going Saudi? He might have been linked, but he probably won't be going. I don't know. I can't remember. I feel like I read something recently about Ferran Torres, but I don't remember what it was exactly. Szoboszlai is overrated and Curtis Jones is overrated too, but at least he is Scouse, so it's nice to have a Scouser in the team for the fans too. The Scouser in our team. The Scouser in our team. His name is Curtis Jones. His name is Curtis Jones. I don't think Szoboszlai is overrated. I've always had a bit of a hit and miss sort of a hit and miss thing with Curtis Jones. Like some days, the frustrating thing with him is I know he can be really, really good. The problem with him is his lack of consistency, and sometimes he gets injured at the most inopportune times. But I don't think Szoboszlai is overrated. No, I think the problem with Szoboszlai is that we've asked him to play about 4 different roles in the midfield over the course of his time being here. We've asked him to play more advanced. We've asked him to play box to box. We've asked him to play deep line playmaker. I know he can basically do it all, but if we actually found a position for him to really bed in and suit, I think we'd start getting a bit more consistency out of him. Big up Omar, bro. Hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you on board with us this afternoon. We lack depth in the attack and centre-back. We need 2 centre-backs, a left-back, another left-back. We don't need another well, we have 3 right now. I know we need an upgrade on Robertson, but I think that can be a little bit put off for later on down the line, bro. And possibly a new right-back. Bradley, injury-prone. We need a left wing, right wing, and a striker. Okay, so obviously striker, 100% agree with, obviously, because that's why we're going for Isak. Centre back, obviously, 100% agree with you there. I don't think we'll get 2 this summer, but I think we'll get 1. If we do get 2, I can imagine it's probably going to be a case of we either buy a youngster or we get like a loan move. which we very rarely do because they don't normally. When Liverpool loan a player, it never normally turns out to be good. Arthur Melo, Victor Moses, not we don't have a great history with loans. Let's put it that way. Left back, we have 3 right now at the club, and one of them looks like they're going to be leaving. I think Robertson's okay for now. We can probably look to address that next year when his contract runs out. Right back, it's annoying with Connor Bradley because, like you say, he is somewhat injury prone. Hopefully, they can put them behind him, but we'll wait and see. Left wing, yes. Right wing, I think we keep Ben Doak. I think we do. Unless we can get a winger who is good on either flank, I think we keep Ben Doak. Because when Salah goes to AFCON, I know he's talked about putting Jeremy Frimpong at right wing, but the situation then with Connor Bradley scares me because he's made of glass. And if he breaks, we've got to then put Frimpong there. So then who goes right wing? And I know that like Gakpo can sort of play on the right, and you know there's a few options where you can probably put them on the right, but is it a good long-term solution? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Ekatike can probably play on the right, or Soboslai or Wirtz or whoever. I know there are some options there, but I don't know if they're long-term ones. So basically, we're hoping that Connor Bradley stays fit and Salah stays fit. And when Salah does go to the AFCON, as much as I would love to see him go and win it, because it would finally shut everybody up. Well, it wouldn't, but it would shut most people up. Kind of hope he gets knocked out early. No, I'm joking. I don't want that. I want him to win it. I want him to win it for the good of his career. Fletch, would you agree or disagree about the nation that as of today, notion, not nation, notion. God damn it, my eyes. That as of today, the Liverpool squad is weaker than the Prem. No, we're definitely stronger. I think we're slightly unproven because, you know, Florian Wirtz has never played in the Premier League. Jeremy Frimpong's never played in the Premier League. Ekatike has not played in the Premier League. We are somewhat unproven in certain aspects, but, you know, we've still got the best goalkeeper in the world, in my opinion. We've still got the best defender in the world, in my opinion. We've got one of the best midfielders in Alexis McAllister, in my opinion. We've got the best player on the planet in Mo Salah, in my opinion. We've still got a very, very strong spine. And you can throw in Kanate, you can throw in Gravenberch, you can throw in Cody Gakpo even. We've still got a very strong spine. We've got decent depth in certain areas. We obviously need to improve in others. Circumstances a little bit out of our control and within our control mixed together there. I think we're a little stronger than what we were. I still think there's room for improvement, 100%, but I still think there is. I still think we are. I still think we're better than last year. I'm more confident this year than I was last year. Let's put it that way. News from Romano. Liverpool do not see Giovanni Leone and Mark Gahey necessarily as alternative options. I don't know what you mean by alternative options. Don't know what he means by alternative options. Liverpool working on both deals for weeks as Leone is highly rated for the future and Gahey seen as big opportunity. Both negotiations are on. So it looks like maybe two centre-backs are coming in. Maybe you were right, Omar. And fair play to you for calling that out. And yeah, I said it would be a youngster, and if it was to be two, I'd say it would be a youngster and an established star. And I've been banging the drum about Mark Gahey all summer long, and I've always thought that it would be the case. And it does seem like Crystal Palace are more open now to selling Gahey than they were before. So fingers crossed that does get over the line, because I think Mark Gahey is a superb defender. Really, really do rate him, and I think he can grow even more in that role. Noah Torres can stay put. He will be the main man to replace Lewandowski next year. Wouldn't you just go after a striker? Wouldn't you just go after I don't know who off the top of my head, but wouldn't you just... See, I thought you were going to be going after a Gyökeres before he went to Arsenal. Or you would have been going for Isak if Isak isn't coming to us. I'm intrigued to find out who you're going to replace Lewandowski with. I'm intrigued. Harry Kane could be leaving Bayern next year. You like to buy a Bayern player. Just saying. I was extremely hopeful during the Nuri Sahin loan, but it never panned out. Nuri Sahin! What a blast from the past that is! Nuri Sahin! Oh, Jesus. Came in with a lot of reputation, a lot of expectation, a lot of promise, and so unfortunate it didn't work out. Blast from the past, though, man. Love it. Szoboszlai can play right wing. Yeah. Again, it's about finding a position for him, really. But let's say we've got a lot of options that for the short term could work. Long term, I'm not 100% sure. But it's going to be very interesting. When he does go to AFCON, Salah, finding a player to fit that position and move the team around is going to be very intriguing to find out. Because, like I say, we could play Szoboszlai on that side. Harvey Elliott, if he's staying, can go there. Ben Doak can stay there if he's going to be sticking around. Jeremy Frimpong can move forward. Cody Gakpo can move over. Florian Wirtz can then fit into the left wing. There's a few options. I'm just not 100% sure. And we've got some big games during that time period as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we do there. Personally, for me, and I'm banging this drum so much because I really do rate the guy, and I want to see more of him this season. Gakpo on the right, if we don't buy another winger, that is. Engamoa on the left. I want to see this 16, 17-year-old kid, because one of the games we've got is Arsenal, absolutely tear Jurrien Timber or Ben White or whoever it is at Arsenal right back apart. I just want to see it. It'd be so frigging good. We should keep Chiesa and give him more minutes. He will never be fit if he doesn't play at all. That's a good point as well. I forgot about Chiesa. It seems like we are keeping Chiesa. Apparently, with the sales of both Nunez and Diaz, we may actually keep Chiesa. So I completely forgot about Chiesa. And I want to see more of him. I do agree with you. I want to see more of him. So maybe we will keep Chiesa, and maybe he will actually get some game time on that right-hand side. It'll typically be the time where he probably gets injured for us, because that's just the way that it seemingly works out. The moment we actually will probably need him, he'll probably go and get injured. So, yeah. But fingers crossed, he actually does stay fit this season, and fingers crossed we do get to see a bit more of him. Means Liverpool want to go for both Gahey and Leone. We just read the... Yeah, we just... read the tweet, didn't we? Yeah, from Fabrizio. Very, very good. Very good indeed. Like I said, we definitely do need to bolster our defensive options, and I really want it to work out for Joe Gomez as well. But Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. That guy just can't stay fit. Just can't stay fit. Remember to keep liking the video, guys, and keep on subscribing. Both things will always be appreciated. And, of course, keep hitting up the chat. Really enjoying the stream today. Thank you to each and every single one of you for being here. As Omar says that he's subbed, well fucking earned. Shout out to you, Captain. No, shout out to you, bro. It's, like I say, these... Otherwise, it's just me yelling into a camera. I can't thank you enough for being here, each and every single one of you. So I really do appreciate you and everybody else for watching and for subbing and supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you. Big up Brazy in the building. Hope you're doing well, bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. He says free Isak. Couldn't agree more, bro. I could not agree more. But we also need a centre back. Yes, we do. Joe Gomez isn't to be trusted. Ibrahima Konate's situation is still up in the air. Van Dijk needs some competition. Yeah. I agree. Big up Movie Time. Don't think I've seen you here before either, bro. But big up to yourself. Hope you're doing well, bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. If we get Isak and two centre-backs, then... Oh, it'll be the perfect window. If we get Isak, two centre-backs, it would be... and maybe a winger. Maybe a winger if we still had a bit of money left over. That would be the most perfect window you could ever get. And it's not just in terms of incomings either, but outgoings. You know, selling Nunes, selling Diaz... selling Kelleher. Maybe one or two others are going to be sold between now and the end of the summer as well that are considered dead wood, like a Tsimikas, for example. We don't need three left backs. If that is to be the case, the most perfect window. I do have a horrible, horrible feeling that if we actually don't sell Tsimikas, we could probably see him at centre-back at some point throughout the season. I do worry about that. Don't worry. Fantastic Four. I like it. I like it a lot. It is very good. It is very, very good. Still only one prize for Arnie Slot. I'll take it this year. If it was offered me just the Premier League again this year, I'd take it this year, because that Premier League that we could potentially win this year will mean a lot, because that would mean that we go 21, and that will mean that we go back above Manchester United. So I will take the one prize this year, because it would mean so much more than it just being a Premier League. Like, we should be going for more, 100%. And I'd love it if we did win more. I'd love it if we did do a double, a treble, quad. But winning the Premier League this year will mean so much. It will mean so much for a variety of reasons. One of them being 21. One of them, which obviously means that we go above Man United, and we then, have that to hold over them. And then the second one, obviously, Jota. So, obviously, yeah, there's a lot for this season. There's a lot. If we have more money, the Bank of Coutinho. The Bank of Coutinho, what? I love that. That's still a thing. I love that that's still a thing. And we actually have more of a reason to chant the Reds have got no money, but we'll still win the league. Because by the end of this transfer window, we probably won't have any money because we've spent it all. So the Reds really will have no money, and we probably still will win the league. So I love it. I love it. The Bank of Coutinho is still open. Everything is going according to plan. The Reds have got no money, but we'll still win the league. We've got Mo Salah, we've got Virgil van Dijk, we've got Alisson Becker, we've got Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, Alexis McAllister. It is so good, man. It's so good. Believer to United, yes. Believer to United. It's an interesting one. I don't. It's going to take a lot of work to get him out of Brighton. A lot of work to get him out of Brighton. But it's sort of similar to what I said at the beginning of the Alexander Isak situation. There's enough smoke that there has to be fire. There is no smoke without fire. And I genuinely believe that United genuinely believe that there could potentially be a deal on. There could potentially be a deal on the cards. Now, I don't know whether or not United would have to sell, but it does look like Garnacho is going to be going to Chelsea. That could potentially bring in a bit of money, which could help towards that deal. I don't know whether United are planning on doing anything else, how they're getting the money for this, and obviously whether or not they're just deciding, you know what, to hell with FFP and PSR, we'll take the hit, we'll take the fine, we'll take this slight points deduction, because overall it will help us build, similar way that Nottingham Forest did it. I don't know, but it is a very intriguing situation in regards to Carlos Baleba. And it's an opportunistic one as well. It's a very big opportunistic one. I've said all summer about Liverpool. Everybody said that we need a DM. We don't need a DM as high priority as what we do a centre-back or a striker, right? So whilst we're looking at that, I don't think anybody else is looking for this kind of midfielder as of right now. But there is an open gap in the market for United to have a long run at this. And if they don't get him this year, they may not get him next year. And that could be for a number of reasons. Maybe his price goes up, or maybe there is more interest from more attractive teams than Man United right now to then go, you know what? Believer's got his head turned by a Liverpool, by an Arsenal, by a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, whoever it may be, right? Just throwing some random names out there. In this situation, United have got Believer all to themselves. They just need to find a way to get the deal done. And that, as a Liverpool fan, pains me. That, as a Liverpool fan, pains me. Because I like Believer. I think he's a quality player. I think he could grow into something really unbelievable. As obviously he gains more experience, gains more... gains just more to his to his game and to the evolution of him. I think Believer's a quality player, and it annoys me that he could be going to Manchester United. That annoys me. But if they mess it up this year, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool do go in for him next year. I wouldn't be surprised. I think for right now, it's an opportunistic signing for Man United to maybe achieve. But they may not have that luck next year. So it's either now or probably never for Man United in this situation. But yeah, definitely watch this space on Believer. Big up Abdul, how you doing? Well, my bro, lovely to have you on board with us. Isak is loving Liverpool. I hope so, man. I hope so. Fingers crossed that he does actually get here. Sure he will. Sure he will. Eze to Tottenham. That could be big as well. That could be big as well for Spurs. Apparently and reportedly, this, what is it? 80... what is his alleged release clause? What's his release clause? I forgot how much his release clause is. I'm just reading this report here. Bear with me 1 second. $67.5 million. Apparently, there's a $67.5 million clause in Eze's contract. Now, allegedly, that release clause is set to expire on Friday. Friday is the deadline. Once Friday passes, that release clause expires. So it could be that there is monumental and massive movement in the coming days. It reminds me a bit of the Dominic Szoboszlai move that Liverpool pulled off a couple of years ago. If that is to happen. Now, I can't believe he hasn't moved already. For £67.5 million, the release clause, I can't believe he hasn't moved already, because I'm looking at Arsenal and I'm going, what the hell are you playing at? This is a player that you admire. It's a player that you like. It's a player that will fill a void in your team. It will fill a creativity void that you seemingly have in your team right now. I'm not 100% convinced of his position, like left wing through the centre. I still think there's a bit of mystery surrounding that. But you could accommodate for that later by, I don't know, going after someone else or maybe rotating the team around a little bit. I don't know. But I'm baffled why this has gone on for as long as it has done. There were reports earlier in the transfer window that allegedly the release clause could be paid in installments. And for £67.5 million, considering like Jack Grealish next year could be going for 50 million, considering some of the other signings that have been made, considering Arsenal paid 52 million, well, less than 52 million for Noni Madueke, you're sat here telling me that you're struggling to really come up with 67.5 million in installments for Eberiche Eze. What the hell is going on? Really, what the hell is actually going on with that? I'm confused. I'm so confused. I don't. Luca, you just rejoined us. Hope you're good, dude. Big up to yourself. Tell me, bro, what is going on? Why haven't Arsenal paid up yet? Why haven't Arsenal just paid up the money for Eze? I don't get it. You had no problem in diving into Chelsea's unwanted collection. You have no problem forking out 5 million for Kepa and 49 million or whatever it was for Madueke. No problem in doing all of that, but you actually get a real gem that you can take and run with. And you're going, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. We need to fill this position. He could fill that position, but I don't know. Let me know, bro, if you know, but I'm confused. I mean, obviously, I'm looking at this from the outside looking in. You may have a bit more insight into it than I do. But I'm so baffled why Eze hasn't moved yet. Because it does seem like he is going to move. And I think maybe even more so now that Crystal Palace are in the Europa Conference League rather than the Europa League, which is unfortunate for Palace and everything. But fair play for Eze. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Marco says that Manchester United has the worst defence in the league in his opinion, and also worst manager. They might actually relegate as good as the three shiny new attackers are. It won't do anything for them. Defence and the club are shambles. I wouldn't say the defence are the worst defence in the league. I'd say that there is room for improvement, 100%. I think it's mainly their goalkeeper that they need to change. Donnarumma, anybody? Or is that just a bit more of a? I feel like that may be a stretch too far, especially with what Romano's just put about Donnarumma. Actually, I'll bring it up here. Manchester City. Oh, hang on. Where's it gone? Manchester City made contact with PSG to ask for Donnarumma deal conditions. Currently, PSG request around 50 million euros, deemed too high, and deal would only be possible if Ederson leaves. Chelsea are not in the race. Donnarumma will soon clarify his position. Info from Fabrice Hawkins. Now, Fabrice Hawkins is a very credible French journalist. So this one is very interesting. 50 million euros for the Champions League winning Donnarumma, who was an absolute monster in that competition last season, by the way. That's not bad. I still have my doubts about Donnarumma. People claim he's like top bracket goalkeepers now. I still have my doubts about him. But 50 million euros. Why are PSG getting rid? Why is he moving? There's just something a little bit off about this Donnarumma thing. But it does seem like it is now going to be a battle between the two Manchester clubs. United are probably in pole position, seeing as though they don't really need to move out a goalkeeper because, anything's an upgrade on Onana. Even Robert Sanchez at Chelsea is probably an upgrade on him, to be fair. But again, I don't understand why Chelsea are not. Robert Sanchez is not great. And that's one of the few reasons why I'm sort of against Chelsea from going above and beyond this season. I don't have any trust in their back line or especially their goalkeeper. Do not trust Robert Sanchez. Good rule for life. Big up, Luca. Do you think Eze going to Spurs is damaging Arsenal that much? Surely Madueke can't be the last signing. Why would Eze choose Spurs? Well, they have Champions League football for right now. Plus, it depends where Eze wants to play. I would say it depends what Eze wants to play. Let's say that Spurs get Savio. All of a sudden, that changes the whole perception of Tottenham's attack. Savio on the left, Kudus on the right, Eze through the middle. If Eze wants to play through the middle, he has got a fantastic opportunity because obviously with Maddison's injury, he walks straight into that Tottenham team. If he wants to play in the middle, that would be amazing for Eze. If he goes to Arsenal, he's not going to be playing over Odegaard. He's not going to be playing over Odegaard, is he? Because Arteta loves Odegaard too much. So he'll be playing on the left. Now that might be okay for Eze. He may not mind playing on the left, and especially if he's playing for someone like Arsenal, who is in contention to win major honours. That may be where his mindset is. But if he goes to Spurs, he's going to be playing through the centre. He's got Kudus on one side. He's got possibly Savio on the other. And he'll be feeding Dominic Solanke. And all of a sudden, my perception on that Tottenham attack completely changes. I don't understand why. If given the choice of Arsenal or Tottenham, it's obviously Arsenal you pick. You'd be crazy to pick Spurs. But it depends where both teams are in terms of negotiations. Allegedly, that release clause runs out on Friday. If Tottenham get there before Arsenal, it could spell curtains for this deal from an Arsenal perspective. If Arsenal miss out on this, though, that could be huge in itself. And then you'd have to turn your attention to Rodrigo. Which would be baffling anyway, because he would actually cost more than what Eze would. So it makes, again, no sense. But at least you'd be somewhat getting with all due respect to Eze, in my opinion, a slightly better player. Which I don't know. Your team is just weird, bro. like I have respect for Arsenal on some level, but your team is just, if that is how I've just worded it, playing out right now, it's just weird. How can we miss out Eze Rodrigo? I don't know. I really don't know. I really, really, really don't know. It's so weird to me. Like I say, 67.5 million for Eze, a Premier League proven player who gets plenty of goals, plenty of assists in a Crystal Palace side, by the way. Like, it's not like it's one of the big hitters of the Premier League, with all due respect. It's Crystal Palace, a team that has in the past struggled to score goals, struggled to create goals, but Eze's done it on a consistent level. If you put him around, with all due respect, again, better players, and I'm not saying that Palace don't have better players. Palace have some really, really good players. They've got some really good things developing over at Palace. I have a bit of a soft spot for them. But you're talking Saka. You're talking now Gyökeres. Somewhat Odegaard when he decides to turn up. And, Declan Rice and now Zubimendi. Good players that are only going to elevate him, and he's going to elevate them. It seems a no-brainer. It seems a no-brainer. Big up Liverpool Goals TV. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. Arsenal have to sell players in order to get Eze. The Premier League squad rules, and right now they have more first-team players than they can register. The max is 25, so Eze is unlikely to join them. I mean, yes, if that is I don't know fully how many players that Arsenal have. You could be right on that. I'm not 100% sure. Again, similar to the Isak situation, they don't need to sell them. They can let them rot in the reserves. If they don't think they're good enough, they can let them rot in the reserves. They can buy as many as they want, as long as they register the 25 and only play the 25 throughout the season, barring, of course, under 21s. It's a whole different ballgame, isn't it? But I get what you're saying. And here's the thing as well. Arsenal don't sell. Arsenal don't sell. Their biggest sale, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, about 8 or 9 years ago to Liverpool for, 35, 40 odd million? That's their biggest sale. Their second biggest sale came in 1999, Nicolas Anelka. Arsenal don't sell players. They let the relationship between the player and the club get so sour that they just cut ties with them completely, or they just move on, or they just keep them, or they just keep them. Like, Arsenal don't sell. Any first-team players which can't be registered can't play. Any first-team players exceeding 25 is redundant, as they can't play. Yeah, I understand the squad rules. You're right in what you're saying. Like I say, though, there's contracts, there's other things that are going on, and as I say, I've not really read up too much on the Arsenal squad to know if they have exceeded 25 players or whatever it is. But I'll take your word for it, bro. I have to take your word for it. But you are right. Arsenal do need to learn to sell players. As we've just established, they don't. Do you think Amorim is a good manager? I do. I do think he's a good manager. I rated what he did at Sporting. I did consider him to be a very good contender for when Jurgen Klopp left at Liverpool. Obviously, we got Arne Slot, and it's so far worked out very, very well indeed. But I do rate him. It's unfortunate he went to Manchester United. I really kind of wish he didn't. Because it annoys me that I praise him so much and he's a Man United asset, I guess you could say. But I think he's going to do well there. And I think... I don't know if he'll be the guy to take them to being back to being the pinnacle of English football again, or European football, where he's winning Champions Leagues and he's winning Premier Leagues. But I think he'll be very, very good at laying the groundwork. And I think he'll be very, very good at maybe winning like an FA Cup, Carabao maybe. Maybe if they get into the Europa League before they get into the Champions League, and maybe he'll have another crack at the Europa League. Who knows? Don't Spurs not need to sell, but Arsenal we had to sell Trossard. We didn't. Why didn't we plan this before as a release clause ended? Your club's weird, bro. You'll gladly buy Madueke and then not have like a plan afterwards. Your club's, if that is the case, your club's weird. Spurs' cases, I think Spurs have got a small squad anyway. I don't really think Spurs have got a giant squad. Off the top of my head, I don't think they do. I think they lose a couple of players as well. I could be wrong, but I think they lost a couple of players. Let me just have a look. I think they did get rid of a couple of players this year. Where are we at? This one here. Obviously, they got rid of Son. They got rid of Højbjerg, and they sent Mikey Moore on loan. So they have got rid of a few, and there's plenty of players that they sent out on loan as well. There's a fair few players they've sent out on loan. And of course, they brought in Kudos. They brought in Tell permanently. They brought in Danso officially as well, I think. And obviously, Palhinha is on loan. So they replaced Palhinha with... they replaced Højbjerg with Palhinha. There's possibly going to be Son or... Eze or Savio. That's going to replace Son. I don't know. I think there's probably room. There's room for more. Probably there's probably going to be a couple more loans. I would imagine. We shall see. It's going to be interesting. Donnarumma apparently going to City to replace Ederson. I feel sorry for James Trafford. But then again, James Trafford made a rod for his own back. If that is the case, and if that is going to be genuinely happening, James Trafford could have walked into Newcastle and been their number one. And therefore, now I do feel sorry for Newcastle fans who now have to put up with Aaron Ramsdale being their number one for a year. But with the way that they're acting with Isak, they freaking deserve it. But yes, I do feel sorry for James Trafford a little bit. Goes to City. He was probably going to be, at the end of the season, the number one goalkeeper. I think James Trafford was probably being groomed to be the number one goalkeeper at City towards the end of the season. Probably Ederson starts, but then Trafford comes in at some point and takes over. But if they now get Donnarumma, that pretty much puts an end to that. And now he's going to become the cup goalkeeper. Donnarumma's the main goalkeeper. We shall see how this one goes. Who will Arsenal get after missing Eze Rodrigo? We need two signings, left winger and a number 10. Ooh, good question. Who's out there? Who is out there? Because, to be fair, Eze ticks both of them boxes. If those are the two boxes that you want ticking, Eze fits both of them. Eze can play number 10 and he can play left wing. It's an interesting one. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure what your plan is. Especially because you're planning on getting rid of a left winger in Martinelli, and you're seemingly open to letting Trossard, and you're seemingly open to letting Martinelli go. So I'm not 100% sure where you go. Leao and Barcola. Leao, realistic. Barcola, that's going to be difficult. That is going to be difficult. That is going to be very difficult to get done. Not impossible, but difficult. I don't know, man. But it's an interesting one. Very interesting. Unless Arteta sells players, you ain't getting nothing. Oh, it's... I just don't get why you went all in on Madueke. I don't get why you went all in on. If what Liverpool Goals is saying is true, and it is genuine that the only reason why you're struggling to buy is because you're not selling, I don't understand why you would have put all of your eggs in the Madueke basket. Especially because I know there was rumored interest from Newcastle and maybe one or two other places, but it wasn't like he was really going to be going anywhere. He probably would have stuck around at Chelsea, which meant you could have probably got him a little bit later in the transfer window if you were really sold on him. I don't get it. Because at this rate, you are playing Madueke left wing. At this rate, you are going into the season. If you're not completely trusting in Trossard because you're planning on getting rid of him, if you're not completely trusting in Martinelli rediscovering the form that he showed about 2 or 3 years ago, you're playing Madueke left wing. And that is kind of funny to me as a Liverpool fan. But if I am to be neutral and be real honest, it doesn't convince me. Doesn't convince me. Can't let Eze go Tottenham. Well, pull your finger out. Pull your finger out. Does Arsenal finish higher than Spurs or Chelsea this upcoming season? Go and check my Premier League predictions video, bro. Go and check my predictions video. You'll see what I have basically said in that. You'll find it out. Is it good that you are familiar with the squad rules and even heard you mention under 21s who are registered separately? All these other Liverpool channels spread false narratives. Yeah, you've got to be informed. If you're not informed, then you've got to be informed on the topics you're talking about. You can't be informed on everything. There is just too much stuff out there. But you've got to be informed at least to a good amount. I'm not saying you should know every in and out of everything, because otherwise there's no point in having talks and debates like this, because you're basically just going to spout whatever and you're not going to hear what everybody else has to say. So you have to be at least on a good level of understanding to talk about these kind of things. And like I say, you're right, some other channels, not just Liverpool channels. I imagine there are other channels probably out there that spread these kind of things as well. Don't understand certain rules, certain rulings and things like that. So yeah, you have to be. You have to be somewhat on a level of understanding. So appreciate that, my friend. Appreciate that. I believe all top 6 teams have improved and it's going to be a tough competition. Man United is cooking, by the way. I think we're going to see a much more familiar top 6 next season. The traditional sort of top 6. Not to give too much away, but I think there is only one team that I've put that won't get into the top 6, but they are very close to it. As of right now, that is. And again, my predictions could slightly change depending on what happens in the rest of this transfer window. For example, if Man United go on and do a madness, they could move higher. If Chelsea did a madness, they could move higher. If Tottenham did, if this team did, if that team did. Obviously, things could change. But I agree with you. I think all the top 6 teams have definitely done some really good business. Liverpool, for obvious reasons. I think Man City have definitely improved. I think Rangers looks quality. Shirky looks quality. Aiton Nori's a solid signing at left back. I still think they need a little bit more City, but I think everybody does. I look at Chelsea, and even though I'm not completely convinced with João Pedro, he has definitely hit the ground running so far. Obviously, Liam Delap's good backup there. They've made some good improvements. They've got some good youngsters coming through. I mean, what? I'm going to butcher his name. So I'm just gonna. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna butcher his frigging name. I just know it. Esteval? Have I said his name right? Esteval? Like, Chelsea have got some really good youngsters coming through. Esteval is another one. It's going to be... There's a lot there for Chelsea to dig their teeth into this year. I hope I pronounced his name right, by the way. I could have absolutely butchered that. But yeah, there's a lot there for Chelsea to look on, and they've improved massively, and I think they're going to be in for a good season. I don't quite think they're there yet of being champions. I think there are a couple of flaws in their in their squad, and as the season wears on, I think there could be a couple of fatigue and potentially injury issues that they may have to cover for. United, like I say, the forward line's definitely improved. They still need a goalkeeper, and I think one game a week will help United in not only working on things on the training ground, but being efficient. And I think they'll take advantage of some of the other teams that are around them when they are in Europe. I think if they get a Sunday game in which they are facing a Crystal Palace who have been in Europe on a Thursday night, or a Nottingham Forest who have been in European action on the Thursday night, it could really benefit Man United. I really do believe in that. Arsenal have managed to finally get their striker. They've got Zubamendi in midfield. I worry a little bit about their squad depth, but at least they've addressed a big area where I think they may get a few more points than what they did last season. Everybody's improved, man. The only one that I would say I've been a little disappointed with is Tottenham, to say that they got into the Champions League. A little bit disappointed, but they seem to have finally woken up in this transfer window. And if they do get Savio, and if Eze does go to Spurs, they will be massive signings for Tottenham. And then you're just looking at one or two players maybe to finish off the transfer window in terms of adding some squad depth. But otherwise, I think Thomas Frank is a very, very good manager, and I rate him highly. And I think that he will get Spurs to a much more respectable finish, shall we say, this time around. I think our club is run from the play. They're playing Football Manager, bro. They're playing Football Manager, and they've just injected all the money into the club. We're on a madness right now. I love it. Man United won't finish higher than 6th. Interesting call. I think a lot of people will probably agree with you on that. Myself, go check out the Premier League predictions video. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you very much, my friend. I really do appreciate that. That is awesome from you. I hope to see you around more. Been fun talking to you, my bro. Birmingham won't finish above Leeds. I mean, they won't, because they're not in the same league. Are you saying Bournemouth? Burnley? Brighton? Another team beginning with B? Big up, Nick, anyway. Lovely to have you here, my bro. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by Birmingham. I guess Arsenal can make another signing, but they will need to exclude another first-team player from the squad. They register, meaning they will have players earning high wages and can't play. Depends, though, because they seem pretty confident that they can get at least one or two players out the door. It seems like they can get one or two players out the door. They seem pretty confident on that. So we'll see. But the problem is that time is running out. If they are really sold on Eze, time is running out. Because if that release clause does expire, then unless someone else triggers it, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Plus, some players have terms in their contracts which state they have to play a certain amount of minutes, so excluding players becoming a problem legal-wise as contracts are binding. I wouldn't know about that. I wouldn't know about anything to do with contracts, especially from Arsenal, whether or not they have that in their contracts. I imagine some players possibly do. I don't know anything if any Arsenal player has that. I couldn't honestly say, mate. I couldn't honestly say if that's legit or not. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Top 3: Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. Is that in order? Is this all in order? Are you going for City to actually become champions, reclaim their throne? Interesting, man. Interesting. Yeah, I think everybody's got that as like a top 4. I think City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal was pretty much the top four that everybody's going with. I'm interested to know if anybody's here that actually has a different top four, let me know. And who do you think's going down, by the way? Who do you think is going to be relegated this season? Let me know the top four, bottom three kind of thing. And also, because obviously the coefficiency could actually go in England's favour again. Fifth spot as well. I mean, Nick's gone for Villa here, which is interesting. He's gone for United to finish 6th, Newcastle 7th, and Tottenham in 8th. Interesting takes there, my bro. Rate that. It's an interesting one. Like I say, I'm interested to know, does anybody have a different top four than the usual top four that everybody has seemingly picked? And does anybody have any thoughts about who's going down this season? Let me know. Let me know. Guys, 20 of you seemingly in the building. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Really do appreciate each and every single one of you being here this afternoon. It's very, very warm. It's very, very warm. But I do appreciate you all being here. We'll go on for a little bit longer. This is actually being a really, really fun stream. I appreciate each and every single one of you for the support, the love, and obviously for hearing me just basically ramble. Yeah, really do appreciate it. You guys are absolutely awesome. Big up Captain Black, how are you holiday? My holiday to Ibiza. Yeah, big up Deluded Steve. Really good to have you here, my bro. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you on board with us this afternoon. I really said Birmingham. It was a silly joke. Oh, okay. Things like that go over my head. I'm not the brightest, bro. I do apologize. I get it. Brentford have lost key players and don't seem to be replacing them. I think they may be involved in relegation battle. Yeah, I said that. It's unfortunate. I like Brentford, but it's going to be a massive, massive test of their recruitment. It's going to be a massive test of their recruitment this year. I know that they pride themselves on how they recruit players and all that sort of the sort of technology side of recruitment and signings and transfer windows and stuff. And I know that they really do pride themselves on that. And it's a massive reason why they were able to climb out of the divisions and eventually get to the Premier League. But this one's going to be a massive, massive test. This year is going to be a massive test for Brentford. Bringing in a set-piece coach who apparently a few Brentford fans that I've seen have seemingly said that he's actually good enough to be a manager. It's just that they brought him in as a set-piece coach, as a sort of contingency plan sort of thing. I don't know how true that is. But bringing in that, losing Christian Norgard, an absolute leader in the pitch. I know they did sign Jordan Henderson, which is, you know, a good replacement for leadership, but it's going to be a question of whether or not Henderson is whether or not Henderson is going to be the same Henderson that left Liverpool. You know, we know that his legs went a little bit. Is he going to be the same, or has he improved over his time and going to Saudi and going to Ajax and wherever? But they have lost Brian Mbeumo. They've lost a lot of goals, a lot of goal contributions, a lot of assist making from Brian Mbeumo. And then, of course, if they go on and lose Visser, well, they've lost the complete 1-2 knockout punch that they so prided themselves on under Thomas Frank. So I agree. Brentford are in for a long season, I think, unfortunately. And I do like Brentford. I do have a bit of a soft spot for them. So it's going to be interesting to see Brentford's season unfold. Newcastle are signing Visser, apparently. Yeah, we talked about that earlier on. Fingers crossed that does go through, because as soon as that goes through, I think that opens the door for Isak to go. Guys, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. Thank you to each and every single one of you being here so far. We're going to continue. Fletch, did you see Don Robbie on DR Sports just predict Arsenal to win the treble? He did not. He did not say Arsenal are going to win the treble. Are you sure that wasn't Ty? Are you sure that wasn't Ty? Are you definitely sure that was Don Robbie? There's no way Don Robbie said that Arsenal were going to win the treble. Did he say that they are going to win it or they have to win it? Two different things. There's no way. There is no way. I may have to find that. I may have to find it. There's no way. I'll have to watch that video afterwards. I'll have to watch the video afterwards. That is mad. That is genuine. That is mad. Dear. Big up LEDC. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Why are we putting up with Prima Donna? Last time I checked, a contract was legally binding. Stop wages now. Commence legal action and lay down the bloody law. Do not sell. Damn. Defiant statement. I mean, I somewhat agree to an extent. Like, I get it. You got a contract. I mentioned this earlier. You got a contract. Somewhat, unless there is a release clause in that contract, you have. I think there is a sort of respect in honouring it somewhat, but at the same time, football kind of works differently. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a footballer's career is not that long. And the only thing that I really blame Isak for is not for having a get-out clause in that contract. But the defiant statement, I rate. But here's the problem. If Isak wasn't such a worthy asset, regardless of whether or not he was your only striker or not, it would probably be okay to let him rot in the reserves. If he was like your only striker, but he wasn't like a great striker, but a club really wanted him for some reason, letting him rot in the reserves would probably be what Newcastle would do. But because he's worth so much, that's why I think they are. That's why they're probably not going to let him do that, because he's worth too much. He's worth a lot of money. It looks good on the books of PSR and FFP and all of that stuff. That's why I think that. Big up Mia. Hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you back with us, my friend. Lovely to have you here. Hope you're doing well. Big up Jordan. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, my friend. Appreciate that. You're a top lad. Stop it, you. Stop it. It's all good. It's all good. Really do appreciate it. Anything else regarding football or Isak or anything? Because, like I say, I'm getting bored of talking about Isak. Getting bored. I just want this to be over and done with, so now then I can talk about Isak in a different light as a Liverpool player. Isak joins Liverpool after we play them at St James's Park on 25th of August. I doubt they want us to turn up with you. I said that earlier on in the video. I said that I think Newcastle are basically holding out for after the game. I think that is the case. I genuinely do think that Newcastle are delaying it so that they don't get Isak turning up at St James's Park and scoring the winning goal. Could you imagine the meltdown if that actually did happen? Newcastle fans charging onto the pitch and, going crazy. Not pleasant scenes, but the meltdown. Because Arne Slot literally would turn up if he had Isak in the squad. He would literally turn up with Isak and Ekitike. You know how Newcastle fans were going, yeah, we're getting both Isak and Ekitike. We're getting them both. Well, you are going to see them on the same pitch together, but not in black and white. It would be madness. Sorry I missed all the show. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. Like, you're welcome here anytime. Lovely to have you on board with us this afternoon. Like, always good to see you. It's on DR Sport. I'm going to have to watch it after I do the stream, man, because that is wild. If that is genuine, that he said the treble, like, I can understand if he basically said, we'll win the FA Cup. I could understand if he said we're going to win the Prem. I could somewhat make a slimmer argument for the Champions League. But to win all three, has he been drinking out of Ty's water bottle? He must have been drinking out of Ty's water bottle. Whatever Ty's got in that water bottle of his, like, Robbie must have took a swig. If he's predicting that, that is insane. That's bizarre, man. Absolutely bizarre. So how would you feel if he behaved exactly like this? Not going on tour, not playing, disrespecting Liverpool fans, etc. if Madrid come knocking? Can I ask you a question before I answer that? What's your thoughts on Johan Visser at Brentford? What's your thoughts on the way he's acting with going to Newcastle? I'm just curious. Like, I'm just curious what you think about the Johan Visser situation. I will answer your question, bro. I will definitely answer your question. I just want to know what you think about Johan Visser before I do. Absolute chaos. Exactly. Absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. Love it. Love the chaos, man. Embrace the chaos. Embrace it. I just keep thinking of friggin' treble winning Arsenal. Treble winning Arsenal. Are you insane? Treble winning Arsenal. Does anyone actually back that, by the way? Does anyone actually back Arsenal winning the treble? Or even anything this season? I'm just intrigued. I'm intrigued to know. Yes, but the only reason he's doing this is he was promised a contract and they aren't giving him one and now holding him hostage. Totally different. Very good point. Interesting point there. Honestly, I've said it online and to my mates. I don't like Visser's attitude and I'd rather not take him on. It's not on. We're in more of a dire situation than Liverpool are, though. Okay, at least you're being consistent. I can respect that. So my take on this comment here is that we've been in this position before. Coutinho faked injuries to try and get out. Trent Alexander-Arnold had been leading Liverpool on and basically entertaining Real Madrid at the same time. Now, for me personally, I'm on the fence. I am neither on one side or the other when it comes to players behaving in this way. Because as football fans, as I've said time and time again, we are hypocritical. Most football fans are hypocritical. They will applaud the behavior of a player because it benefits them. But once it goes against them for someone of their own team, they will berate them. We get that. Me personally, I'm on the fence. I was on the fence with Trent. I've been on the fence with a lot of players. And the reason I'm on the fence is simply for the reason that although I think it was stupid of Isak to go into a long-term contract and not have some sort of get-out clause, a footballer's career is short. It is very, very short. And opportunities may not come around again. Other factors could really affect that player. Injuries could happen, which therefore could lead to a lack of opportunities, which therefore could lead to a shorter career, which therefore could lead to teams turning their attention elsewhere to someone else. Isak's problem is that he entered into a long-term contract, and I agree with you on that point that therefore he should honour that contract because he got himself into that mess. He didn't get a get-out clause. Therefore, he should honour that contract. That is where I agree with you. But I also see it from the other side where maybe he was being led astray. Maybe he bought into something that he really shouldn't have done. Maybe the people around him advised him poorly. there was probably so many other ins and outs that we don't maybe see as football fans. We can just speculate upon that I'm not entirely convinced by. But you're not, like I say, you're not the only team to be going through this. Everybody goes through this. Every team goes through this. Every team has players like this. And I'm just saying to play devil's advocate a little bit, that I see it from both sides of the argument. It's similar way with Harry Kane a few years ago. I was sort of saying that, like, I don't necessarily agree with what he's done in terms of how he's tried to force a move out of Tottenham, but I understand why, for the betterment of his career, because nobody knows, obviously nobody knows the future, and going to Newcastle was always going to be a gamble. It's just he decided for one reason or another not to put a get out clause in that contract. That's on him. But I don't know, football is just so different to how everything else goes. And I get the fume, I get the frustration, I get everything. Liverpool Goal says, we have had Coutinho, a world record sale, go to Barca. He claimed he was injured before he left us. Don't feel too bad. Yeah, there you go. Like, we've had it as well. We've had it as well with certain players. You know, Raheem Sterling, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Philip Coutinho. We've had it before. We've had it before. The football world needs Arsenal to never win the UCL. I mean, their fans would be unbearable if they did, even more so than what they are right now. I get your point, bro. I get your point. Possible, but not probable. Fair assessment. Fair assessment. If Arsenal won the UCL, I'm deactivating social media. I think we all would for a time. There'd be no point, because they'd hold that over us for another 20 years. I don't think you can get a gold UCL trophy, though, can you? You can't get a gold one. Or else they really would be. They really would be holding it. So let's put aside partisan belief systems. Ultimately, does the football world not need reform and player power given a reality check? Otherwise, there is literally no point in contracts. But I get you. Yeah. But this is why I think that football should be moving into or players should be asking for release clauses. Now, I know that in Spain, in La Liga, they always put a release clause in. And, you know, some of those release clauses are insane. If you're a top quality player, the release clause is like $1 billion. No one's going to be paying £1 billion for Pedri. As good a player as what Pedri is, no one is going to be paying £1 billion for it. But I do feel like this has to be the way forward, because it stops things like this from happening. Because, as I said, I really get where you're coming from, and I get the fume and I get the frustration from Newcastle supporters. But it's you today. Yesterday, it was Liverpool. Tomorrow, it might be City. It might be United. It might be a Brighton. It might be an Arsenal. It could be anybody in this situation. It's just today it is you. Tomorrow it could be someone else. And that's why I think players need to be wiser. They need to be advised better. And overall, like I say, I feel like the Premier League needs to put a rule in place where release clauses have to be mandatory. I really do feel like that is the way forward for football, for the Premier League, because it stops things like this from happening. It makes it, A, more exciting, and B, it stops things like this from happening where you get these situations, because Liverpool haven't done anything wrong in this situation. Isak, like I say, I've made my feelings clear on Isak, and I understand Newcastle's position. I have got no problem with Newcastle digging their heels in and saying Isak can't leave. Isak has to honour his contract. I've got no problem with that, because he is their player. I'm not going to sit here and be like, they should totally just cash in and sell him, because I understand why they're not. I think they should cash in and sell him because there are justifiable reasons, but I'm not just going to say, because I want Isak to join my team, that's why they should sell him. There are justifiable reasons. And like I say, player power, I think, does need to be taken away. But the way to compromise that, there has to be a release clause. That's the only way I think a compromise can be somewhat, because it is a player's contract and it is a player's career and it is a player's livelihood and life. So it's not just about the club, but at the same time, it's not just about the player. That's why I think release clauses, things like that, is the kind of middle point, the meeting point in the middle, the compromise that I think needs to be the next step. Isak told Newcastle last season that he was leaving. I don't know why Newcastle fans are surprised when your Saudi owners are more interested in Chelsea. And if that, as I mentioned earlier, like if that's true, then that's just poor planning on Newcastle. And that's why I think Newcastle fans do need to be holding their club more accountable than what they are doing right now. I'm not saying they are completely to blame, but there does seem to be an element of, if that is genuine, if Isak's made his feelings clear already, that's it. That's poor planning on Newcastle's part. A little bit, anyway. Like I say, there is the other half of the story where he should be honouring his contract regardless. But again, that's why I think there needs to be a compromise. I do feel like there needs to be a compromise. Anyway, great talk to you, bro. Like I love questions like that challenge. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% right to be on the fence in this situation, and I'm not saying I don't think there is a sort of 100% right or wrong answer in this. But I really do appreciate the challenge, my bro. Really, really great talking to you, and I hope to see you around more often if you're still here, of course. Yeah, really, really good talking to you. That is right. Saudi have billions invested in Clearlake, who are Chelsea's owners. They've just got their money everywhere, haven't they? They've just got their money everywhere, Saudi. It's a scary thought. It's interesting, but it's scary. The problem now, big up Glenn, by the way. Lovely to have you on board with him. Can't speak. Lovely to have you on board with us, bro. Really, really good to see you. The problem now is, has Isak backed Newcastle into a corner where he's now made himself unsellable? If they sell him, they look weak, and it tells the rest of the squad that contracts don't matter. There is the argument, but you get this every year. I feel like there's at least one story every year where player power does sort of back a club into a corner. And as Jamal Lascelles has put it, for the good harmony of the squad, it may just be that Newcastle may just need to make the sacrifice, cut their losses, and go, you know what? He's gone. He's gone, and the squad can move on. It doesn't look good anyway. Regardless of what happens with Isak, whether he stays or whether he goes, he wants to go anyway. So it doesn't look good anyway, because if he wants to go and Newcastle have already been rejected by 6, 7, 8 or 9 players or whatever it was throughout this entire summer, there's clearly a problem with how attractive Newcastle are to these players. And you're a club that has got all the money in the world and more, and also has Champions League football. And you're losing players to Manchester United. So the club already looks bad as it is. You've gone into your biggest transfer window in your history with no clear plan, it seems, and no clear indication of who's really running things in a signing sense. You don't have a sporting director, for one. I think it just looks bad anyway. You can make a statement, and it's a fairly strong statement, that you're going to keep him and you're going to hold him against his wishes, and you're going to let him rot in the reserves until he's either prepared to apologise. I just don't know. I just don't know about the future of Newcastle. I really, really don't, because I think if this is going to happen this year, who's to say that next year Guimarães doesn't leave? Who's to say that Tonali doesn't then want to leave? Liveramento's already trying to attract Manchester City over. I just think, like, I just think, regardless, Newcastle are in a losing situation, and the losing situation, okay, a big part of it is the Isak stuff, but a big part of it as well is that the infrastructure of Newcastle looks shaky at best. And you're getting rejected left, right, and centre to teams like Manchester United, who at the moment are still bigger than Newcastle in the food chain given their history. But no Champions League football, and the more and more that the years go by, of course, that pull of United, unless they can salvage silverware and winning, becomes less and less. It becomes less and less power as it goes on. It's just a very interesting scenario at Newcastle right now. It basically says that refuse to play will ultimately get you what you want. If he just kept his head down and gone about it quietly and professionally, he'd have gotten what he wants. But allegedly he didn't, though. Or maybe he felt like he wasn't going to get it. Because let's just say that he did tell the board he wanted to leave. Liverpool come in for him. They instantly reject Liverpool. They don't even entertain the offer. There's no negotiation. There's nothing. And then Liverpool turn their attention straight to Ekitike and go, we'll take him. We've got him. We move on. And then Isak brings up all of this stuff in public. I don't know if that was planned by Newcastle. I don't know if there was cross wires. I don't know if there was a miscommunication somewhere. But it's very weird, like I said earlier, that it goes from being a behind-the-scenes thing of, we have an agreement, I've talked to you about it behind the scenes, we're not going to make it public, to, oh yeah, well, we rejected Liverpool. And then Isak turning around and going, right, well, you've gone against my wishes. I'm going to have to make this public because I want to get what I want. I'm not 100% sure he would have got what he wanted, in all honesty. I don't think Newcastle being rejected several times by other players helped, but that might be another thing. But calling Newcastle's bluff like this puts him in a very vulnerable position. Isak is taking a huge gamble. Where will he be if this doesn't come off for him? Rotting in the reserves. But it also means, again, for Newcastle, you're losing a potentially valuable player. This is the thing. Isak knows his worth. Isak knows his worth and how much he would be worth to Liverpool. He knows his worth in terms of, well, Newcastle aren't really in a position where they can ultimately refuse to completely sell him. But they'd be missing out if they did. They'd be missing out on a lot of money. And like I say, that could really help towards PSR, FFP, all of that stuff, and really could help Newcastle rebuild for the future. The only problem is that Newcastle's pool isn't great. So, again, what you're saying is, I can see it from both angles from what you're saying. So, again, another great challenge. I really do like it. This will put off any potential players coming to Newcastle. They've shot themselves in the foot. Big up, bro. How you doing? Well, lovely to have you on board with us this afternoon. I mean, already a lot of players that Newcastle are going for have rejected them. So it's already starting to show a little bit, but it's not looking great for Newcastle, the players that they have already in their ranks. It's like I say, I don't see a way in which Newcastle can come out of this any better than just by cashing in on Isak. They cash in on Isak, they ditch a problem, they get that money and they reinvest it. They go, right, we got rid of this player. I know it looks bad, but if they have a clear vision in mind, if they have a clear project goal that they can sell to the players that are already there, they can get everybody back on side again and they can work well for the season. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be very, very tough. Last comment, and then I promise I'll show. You don't have to, bro. I appreciate that. Like I say, I appreciate the challenge. I appreciate. It's been an interesting few thoughts that you've thrown up today. I really do appreciate it. Our owners have been absolutely useless in all of this. They have a lot to blame on their shoulders. No CEO, no sporting director, no director of football for so long. Clueless management. I 100% agree. And this is something that I think is being a little bit overlooked by certain Newcastle fans. So I'm so glad that you brought this up, bro. I'm surprised. Saudi ownership, normally you would imagine, is very efficient, shall we say. Very efficient, very well run, very much like a well-oiled machine. We saw the way that they got a grip on things at City. I know that they've been hit with a few more barriers to overcome at Newcastle than obviously the group at City. But consortiums like that are normally very well efficient, very well run. All of a sudden, you lost Dan Ashworth last year, and it all seemingly went to pot. It was like, we don't have a plan. We don't have a contingency plan. What do we do? And it's sort of been like somewhat neglected a little bit, it seems. And again, I don't know for sure fully, because I'm just a Liverpool fan looking from the outside looking in. So maybe you've got a bit more insight than what I do. But it is very, very strange. It is very, very strange the way that your club's been run. It's almost like the owners have basically turned around and gone, oh, we remember when we bought Newcastle? Oh, we forgot about the time we bought Newcastle. We should really check on Newcastle to see how things are. And they've come back to it and everything's just on fire. And they've gone, oh dear, we should have really kept a closer eye on this. It just seems a little strange to me. Newcastle removed all of Isak's imagery from the club a week ago. That should give you an idea of what is going to happen. It seems that bridges have been burnt. Bruno Guimaraes and the rest will be sweating. Absolutely. There'll be definitely questions being asked right now. Big up Carl Roberts. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us this afternoon. Isak will do the same to you, what he's done to us. Why would you want him? With all due respect, the only club that is bigger than us, at this moment in time at least, is Real Madrid. And I feel like if Real Madrid did want Isak, they'd be in for him right now. And if he did go, or if he wanted to go, knowing our club, we probably would let him go, because he probably would be in like one last year in his final year of his contract, because we mess up with contract situations. But like I say, it's about knowing where you are on the food chain, my bro. That's the only thing I can say. And I don't mean that in any sort of disrespectful way. I'm just saying that it's all about knowing where you are on the food chain. And Liverpool are right near the top. There are very few teams that are above us. Newcastle are still working their way up. That's all I'm going to say on that. Isak very well could. Maybe in like 2 or 3 years' time. Maybe Isak's like, I want to get out of this 5-year deal. I want to go to Real Madrid. They want me. And we're very good at negotiating. Newcastle don't seem to be this year. But we're very good at negotiating. So I'm sure we'll come up with something. I'm sure if we do have to cross that bridge, something will occur. Isak might do the same here. There was no talk. I don't think he did it at any of his other clubs, with all due respect. I'm not 100% sure he did. So this could be just a one-off thing. And like I say, it's all about knowing where you are. And Newcastle, I'm sorry, but you're not on the same wave as Liverpool right now. We had to accept Suarez, Coutinho and Trent leaving. We know where we are in the football food chain, however much we hate it. Yep. Those were dark times. Dark, dark times. Isak is coming to Liverpool to win silverware. Absolutely. He's already done that with Newcastle. Yes, but with all due respect, Carabao Cup, opportunity to win the Champions League. Oh, difficult one. Sorry. I understand where you're going from. It's just there is an opportunity to win a Champions League. There is an opportunity to win the Premier League, and Newcastle aren't there right now. And plus, if I'm Isak and I've sat back and I've watched this entire summer just implode before my very eyes at the club I'm currently at, I'm seeing Brian Mbeumo, Benjamin Sesko, and Mateus Cunha all choose Man United over Newcastle. I'm looking around going, what project did I sign up to again? I'm just saying. Gaz, how you doing? Well, my bro, lovely to have you on board with us. Get your club to pay 150, or that's the reality. Otherwise, he spends the next 3 years in the reserves. Like I say, it very well could happen. It very, very well could happen that may be how this story ends this summer, at least. It very well could be. We may have to fork out 150 million. I don't think we will, unless we get really desperate towards the end of the transfer window. And obviously, there's no movement. But I think there will be movement. I think Newcastle will eventually get a signing through the door. And I think we will reach a compromise between the two clubs. I think that is going to happen. I could be wrong. Fair enough. But it is what it is. If he did tell the board, then why did the promo photos then why did do all the promo photos for the new season? Because it wasn't, no one knew about it until basically Liverpool signed Ekatike. Liverpool signed Ekatike, and then apparently it all got leaked out that he apparently told everybody. I reckon it was a case of, I don't want to sour my relationship. And I'm only guessing and speculating on this, so I don't know for sure. But my guess is Isak didn't want to sour his relationship with the Newcastle fans, so was just going on board with everything that was going on with the club. And then it would be like, oh, a bid's come in for Isak. Newcastle have decided to accept it. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. I'm going to go to Liverpool now. That's my guess. That is my guess of how Isak planned it out in his head. I don't know for sure. It could all be made up, like you're implying, and I 100% get where you're coming from with that. But again, I said it myself, bro. That kind of element of the story, I've gone back and forth over whether or not it's genuine or not. So I am on board with you, my friend. I am on board with you on that. We are talking Premier League and Champions League. Yes, we are. I don't blame him for leaving. I'm sure there's broken promises with new stadium, training ground, and new players that didn't happen. Still a way of doing it. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I get it, bro. I 100% get where you're coming from. And I'm sure a lot of other clubs go through that as well. A lot of other clubs go through that with other managers and other promises that are broken and things of that nature. Guys, 30 of you in the building. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Really do appreciate each and every single one of you being here. By the way, just had to sort of throw that out there. What's just kicked off here? Oh, it's just confirming the centre-back story, Romano. I thought there was more stuff from Romano there. But I agree. I agree to an extent. Like I said, I'm on the fence with this. How do you go about trying to leave a club thing? I think he tried the respectful approach. And then I think when Newcastle didn't even entertain the offer that Liverpool were presenting, I think that's when it went a bit nuclear. And again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm on the fence. I am fully positioned on that fence with splinters going into areas that are horrible. Rot him in the reserves. His value decreases and no top player will go to Newcastle. It's exactly. The only way Newcastle can come out of this, at least with something, is just by getting rid. And again, I'm not just saying that as a Liverpool fan. I'm just saying that this situation has reached a whole new level of toxicity where it could have a drastic knock-on effect for Newcastle going forward. I just think maybe just sacrificing him now, getting rid, may just aid the healing process a bit more. Or get it a bit faster, should I say. You think Saudis care about 150 million? They don't lose to they get. Yeah, I can't even speak. You think Saudis care about 150 million? They don't lose. They get what they want, even if it means losing out on pocket change. It does, and I'm sure you're right. But I think they will care about 150 million when it comes to PSR and FFP. I think that could go a long way to helping Newcastle in the long run. So it might not mean anything to the Saudis, but it might mean something to the club. Lindelof to Leverkusen. Leverkusen, I know that Leverkusen needed to spend money. I know that they needed to get players. Are they really that desperate they're getting Lindelof? Are they really that desperate? They just bought Kwanzaa. I think they bought another centre-back as well. They're going after another one. Big up Adam. He says that he will be done when Newcastle say they are done. I like that. It's kind of like a film kind of quote. I like that. Hollywood film. It's just the Newcastle board. It just turns around to Isak. We will be done when we say we're done. But obviously more dramatic than what I just did. Pay the fucking money or shut the fuck up. It's not my money. What are you angry at me for? What are you angry at me for? I don't know why you're angry at me. You got 150 million for Coutinho, and after you were saying he wasn't worth that, and he proved he wasn't worth it. Okay. We're very good at negotiating. We're very good at negotiating, bro. That's the point. We as a club are very good at negotiating. So, yeah. That's the point. We know no player's worth 150 million. No player is in my head, in my opinion, no player is worth 150 million. It's ridiculous high money. But that is the world we live in. That is the footballing world that we live in, where players are now starting to go for anywhere beyond 100 million. That's why Caicedo did it a couple of years ago. That's why Florian Wirtz has gone for over 100 million this year. That's why, a number of other players have gone for around about that fee in that region. That's my point here, bro. Paul Joyce Bomber, Liverpool in talks with Crystal Palace. Yeah, Fabrizio Romano's just confirmed that as well. So, we are making moves for centre-backs as well, which is definitely what we are... which is definitely what we are looking for. So, fingers crossed on that. Food chain, they thought you were nothing a couple of seasons ago. A couple of seasons ago? You mean like the only season in recent history where you finished above us, right? The one season where you got Champions League football and we didn't. But like the years prior, we were winning trophies, we were winning domestic cups, we were going for quadruples. So only 6 years ago, we won our last Champions League. 5 years ago, we won the league. A couple of years later, we're winning FA Cups, Carabao Cups. Just saying, bro. Just saying, like, we are at the top in English football of the food chain. And in world football, we are just a little bit lower than Real Madrid. Don't think it is, bro. Don't think it is. But thank you for contributing. We're not saying it to be condescending. Newcastle are going to learn the hard way. This is what happens, man. You get the best players. The bigger teams are gonna come in for him. That's why Real Madrid have come in for our players multiple times, and they don't look like they're going to be slowing down either. They look like they're possibly going to be going in for Konate still. There's the worry that I have about Alexis McAllister. That's a worry for later on down the line, not for right now. But yeah, it's what it is. Fair enough. Offer the asking price then. I mean, if every team did that, negotiations and transfers would be boring. you got to get the negotiation. You got to get the, you know, the strategy and everything. Boring if we just went, yeah, there's the money. We might do that in the end. We might be that desperate we might have to. But I don't think we'll do it. Newcastle are the 10th biggest club in England. Oh, I wouldn't say 10th. I think a little bit higher. I'd say they're a little bit higher than 10th. A little bit higher than 10th. You're going to learn the hard way when you don't get Isak. You're very angry. I'm very angry. I mean, like I say, there is the possibility we don't. There is a slim possibility out there that we don't get Isak. And if that is the case, fine, fair enough. But I would probably bet a safe bet that if we don't get Isak in the summer, we will go in for him again in January. And if the relationship between Isak and Newcastle hasn't improved in January, I say we probably get him for a less price than what you're asking for right now. So it's possibly a case of take what you can get. 38 of you in the building. Can't thank you enough, guys. Really do appreciate it. Hit the like button if you haven't already and subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. You guys are absolutely awesome for joining me on this very, very warm Tuesday afternoon. You guys are absolutely awesome. Incredible stuff. Incredible scenes. Incredible scenes of joyous emotion. You guys are awesome. Everton, Villa and Forest are much bigger than Newcastle. I don't know. I know that obviously Forest have got 2 Champions Leagues. I probably wouldn't say recent history for Forest, but I don't know. I don't know. It's I don't want to get into that bait on this one for right now. Any team in the Champions League, like anyone, can win the Prem. Not 100% sure what you mean, but okay. So I don't work that one out. Big on Mo, I hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you on board with us. Who are our 2 signings going to be? You Newcastle, or I'm assuming Newcastle, right? With the profile. I do need clarification on that before I just ramble on about nothing. You really think we would let him rot in the reserves? I think the deal happens before the transfer window closes. The media haven't helped one bit. I think Romano definitely, his updates are sometimes a little strange. I don't think he will either. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to cover all possibilities. I don't think there's any way you would pass up the opportunity of getting over 120 odd million for Isak. Like I say, it helps with your FFP and PSR stuff. So that would really help. I don't see him rotting in the reserves, and I think Isak knows that, which is why I think he's acting the way he's acting. He knows his worth. He knows what he's worth to Newcastle, and he knows the situation at Newcastle. That's why I think he's acting this way. Partially. I agree with you, though. I agree that the media probably hasn't helped you, and I think if I was sat on your side of the fence, I would probably be as frustrated and as angry as what some of you are. And I agree with that because, like I say, it happens to every team, and it has happened to my team in the past. But especially when it comes to Real Madrid as well, again, I'll just throw that in there. When they were going after, like, when Barcelona were going after Suarez, and when Real Madrid were going after, like, Trent, and when they were going after other players in the past, they would constantly feed the media with everything to bombard, to brainwash, to propaganda the player and everybody else around him. So I do get where you're coming from, Scotty Josh, but big up to you, and I hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you on board with us this afternoon. Newcastle, last league title was in 1927, 98 years ago. Yep. And it was like, what, 70 odd years since the last won a trophy before they beat us in February. Something along them lines. 50 odd, 60 odd. I can't remember off the top of my head. I do apologise if I've got that completely wrong. You nailed it earlier. PIF are massive. Newcastle are a very small part of their entire investment portfolio, and it genuinely feels like they forgot about us, or worse, they don't care. Probably sold soon. It does, unfortunately, it does feel like the Saudis have basically lost interest. I hope I'm wrong in saying that, because Newcastle was so in the dark for so long under Mike Ashley, and I did feel extremely sorry for you in those years. That when you did get this new ownership, I thought, right, bright new shiny future. Like, you're going to face a few obstacles that you're going to need to overcome, but if you're patient with it, you're going to get to where you want to be. Get back to being a top club again in English football. And it just seems like they've just lost interest. It just seems like they've gone, oh, this isn't as easy as when Man City did it. Oh, this isn't as easy as when Chelsea did it. We'll just focus on something else. Who cares? They've not seemingly even attempted. Because, let's face it, if Chelsea can find all these loopholes, if Chelsea can find all these ways to make money and to constantly grow as a footballing club off the pitch, surely there must be some ways that Newcastle can do the same. But for one reason or another, they just seemingly have given up. They've just seemingly given up. Also, they bought, just like PSR was brought in, or PSR was brought in because of the Saudi takeover. Either way, this was not the plan. Yeah, I agree. I think I think they thought it would be easier than what it was. And then as soon as they found out that there were these things in place, and, some of it, I think, was to kind of block you a little bit. I think it was basically, oh no, we didn't really expect another big consortium to come in and take over another club. I think there was a little bit to block you. But again, I do feel like there are ways to grow because of how City have grown. And not even just in the years before all these PSR stuff comes in, but even in the after years of that, City has still grown massively. And again, maybe it is to do with 115 charges. We'll probably never know now, because everyone seems to have forgotten about 115 charges. But Chelsea is still growing. City is still growing. I think there are still ways around it that I think with the right minds, the right business sense, you can find ways to go through loopholes and work a way around the rules. But for whatever reason, the club seemingly don't want to put in the effort. And I do feel sorry for you in that aspect. Newcastle can play along, seemingly cooperate, and then let the transfer fall through right before the window ends. They could do that. They could be real, like the David De Gea thing several years ago of the fax machine. The fax machine, right? They could do something stupid like that. I don't know if they still use fax machines. I'd be very surprised if they do. Everything's email now. But, they could do something just horrible like that. Right on deadline day, 5 o'clock deadline day, they just go, oh yeah, we'll accept a bid. Good luck, because you're against the clock. Comes to 11 o'clock. Well, Liverpool didn't file the correct paperwork. We'll have to try again in January. As a Magpie, I literally have no idea what's going on anymore. Is it Isak? Is it his agent, or a scheme to get the price down? Is it the media making things up for drama? Big up, Kev. How you doing? Well, my bro, lovely to have you on board with us. To be honest, mate, I'm sort of in the same boat. I'm more and more getting in the same boat. I can sit here and talk for coming up to 3 hours. Jesus Christ. I've actually talked about this for 3 hours. Big up to each and every single one of you for being here. I can sit here and I can speculate and I can talk like this. I have no idea either. It seems like a very big convoluted mess that has only got more and more toxic and crazier and more chaotic the more that time has progressed. Big up to you, my bro, though. Thank you for being here. I don't know. Isak never formally handed in a transfer request. Still hasn't. I don't understand why now. That should happen, right? I don't understand why that hasn't happened. Either he's been told he's going to hand it in and it's going to get rejected, so there's no point in doing it. But the relationship's already completely soured. There seemingly is no turning back. He seemingly has admitted himself that the bridges are burnt. The only reason why I can think that he's not handed in a transfer request is because he probably knows the club are going to reject it. And there's going to be no movement on that. I don't really see what more he can do. Yamal is worth 150. No one's worth 150 million, Marco. Come on, bro. Let's be real about it. I know that players in about 2 or 3 years' time will start regularly going for 150 million because that seemingly is the way that football and prices and transfer windows are going. But let's face it, nobody is worth 150 million. Not even prime Messi. And I think Messi's the GOAT. But if prime Messi was here, no one is buying him for 150 million. Although he might be the exception. I don't know. It's weird. Money is weird. I just checked, by the way. We are 3 subscribers away from 900. If we can get to 900 in this stream, that would be monumental, insane. And I really, like I say, I can't thank you enough, guys. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you being here. But if we can get 3 more for 900, you guys, absolute legends. Absolute legends. Really, really, really enjoyed this stream. A lot of interaction, a lot of talk. Really good challenges as well. You guys are absolutely all. I can't thank you enough. I really can't thank you enough. You guys are absolutely amazing. Oh, I missed that one. Sorry. Jackson, 80 million is a joke. Wouldn't pay 20 million for him. Yep. Sorry, bro, but that seems to be the reality. Like Jackson, there's Nicholas Jackson. There's the Samu guy. I don't really know too much about him, to be honest. I can't remember his surname. With all due respect, I'm really sorry that I can't remember. And Johan Visser. Those seem to be the main 3. I think there has been talk of Watkins. There's been talk of Hoyland. The striker market's not great right now. You probably should have just took the money for Isak and got Ekatike. Madness. Who said this? According to Paul Joyce, Liverpool are in talks with Crystal Palace over a 30 to 35 million deal to sign Mark Gahey. If that is going to be the case, if that's 30 to 35 million, get the deal done. Get the deal done for 30 to 35 million. I don't think it will be. I still think it will be somewhere between 40 and 45. But if that is genuine from Paul Joyce, that's huge. That is huge coming from him. Fingers crossed we get the here we go soon. Apparently, we may sign both Gahey and Leo. Oh, I keep missing these comments. Saudi operate with Aramco money. They pulled 109 billion out the ground every day. Thank God for FFP. Well, this is the thing as well. As much as Newcastle fans will complain about FFP, if FFP didn't exist and Newcastle just pumped all of their money into it when they first came, and then if they decided to, oh, we've lost interest, we're going to just go away now. It's very unlikely that they would have had that whoever took over, regardless, unless it was another giant oil-based barren consortium. It would be unlikely that they would have kept up with the funding. It would have been likely that they would have kept up with everything that was going on with Newcastle. So it's actually somewhat of a good thing for FFP. I know it can be a slight hindrance and I know it can be annoying, but as I mentioned earlier, I think there are ways around it. I genuinely do think that. Apparently we may sign both Gahey and Leone. Fingers crossed on that, bro. It would be such a good bolstering move for our defence. If Isak said he refuses to play or train, he's walking straight into a legal battle for breach of contract with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Is anyone actually that stupid? You could say his head might be on the chopping block. Sorry, no. Wrong. Bad Fletch. I don't know. It's all it's football related. It's football related. It's obviously UK related. I don't know the legal ins and outs of it. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know if there is genuine. Has anyone breached their contract before like this? Has anyone done anything bad like this? I'd have to do my research on it, in all honesty. But it is a very drastic move, shall we say? Leone will be a great deal as he's only 18 and does not take up a first team place. Yeah, I mean, 18 years of age, and he's not. You know, you'd probably see him here and there, maybe in like the Carabao Cup games or something, and we could really progress in that nature. But you'd hope that Gomez's injury problems may ease a little bit. Konate's still there, Van Dijk's still there, and obviously if you bring Guéhi in as well, Guéhi would be class. Guéhi would be class. So in Newcastle, yeah, I did see him. I don't know if he's still here, but he did seem it. He did seem it. There were some telltale signs that he wasn't exactly too pleased. Oh, Ornstein Bomber! Is this Ornstein Bomber? Liverpool in talks with Crystal Palace for Mark Guéhi. No bid yet, but Liverpool stepping up their efforts. Player terms also need agreeing. England defender wants game time. Assurances before the World Cup. If no move now, 25-year-old will leave Crystal Palace for free in 2026. Not really much of a bomber. We kind of knew that, but as confirmed now by the likes of Romano and Ornstein, Liverpool are stepping up their efforts for Mark Guéhi. Since 1927. Jesus. Adam seems like a twat. You've been nothing but civil. Don't worry about haters like that, man. Not a true Geordie. I'm here for all kinds. I understand putting myself out there. I'm going to come under some sort of criticism, and there are going to be people that don't like what we're reporting on and things like that. I do appreciate your comments, and I appreciate all comments that come in, no matter whether they're angry or not. But that's the point of this channel. The point of this channel is always to try and be civil and to try and look at it from all angles. Yes, I may have a bias, slightly, an unconscious one, being a Liverpool fan, of course, but I'll always try and call it as fair as what I see it. And although I may have a different opinion, or I may have an opinion that is on one side rather than the other, I will at least discuss or try to discuss the overall picture of what I see. That's the whole point of this, is to try and look at it from all angles. 1927, deep it. Deep it. Coming up to 100 years, bro. We aren't as big as we think we are. Isak would leave us for Madrid or Barca in a couple of years, like we always have done. Big up, Alistair. How you doing? Well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like the only clubs that are really above us are Real Madrid and Barcelona. And even with Barcelona, like, they've still got financial issues. So they kind of yo-yo a little bit in terms of how attractive they are. At least in my opinion anyway. I could be completely wrong, but let's say the only ones that are above us, Real Madrid. That is cemented. That is like set in stone. Until we get like 10 more Champions Leagues, then that's how it's going to be. Fingers crossed we get them in my lifetime. That would be amazing. Me thinks Steve has an agenda against Newcastle. Did your missus go off with a Geordie or something? Well, Steve, I'm joking. I'm not getting into that. That's your two's beef. I'm not getting into that. Big up Scotty Josh. I'm a Newcastle fan. Samu staying at Porto for a year. Larson signed a new contract. Not going for Jackson, especially because AFCON. Oh, yeah, that's a consideration as well. I forgot about that. Villa won't sell us Watkins. Other than Vissa, who would our second signing be? Isn't there a striker from Monaco? Is it Monaco? I think it's somewhere in the French league. Someone in the French league. Someone in the French league. You could go for Gonzalo Ramos at PSG. You could go for Rasmus Højlund at Manchester United. You could go for any one of the strikers that went to Saudi Arabia and is currently regretting it. I was kind of surprised. I thought like you'd be getting a lot of them kind of players that went to Saudi. Just a consideration. Just a consideration. There is a striker in PSG who looks pretty good, but is playing second fiddle. He may be good. Hey, we mentioned the same one. I genuinely did not see your comment. We just mentioned the same thing. I like that. We're on the same wavelength. What I'm struggling with is Liverpool fans' egos. Okay, you won the league, and that raises expectations, but a lot of you are getting carried away. You might not even win anything next year. That's the gamble you take, bro. That's the gamble you take. There is no guarantee that we are going to win anything next season, even with the amount of money we spend. We're not, at least I like to think, Liverpool fans on this platform are not that deluded that we're saying we're going to win everything. We expect to win the league because of how much we spent and because we won it last year. We expect to win it. That doesn't mean we are definitely going to win it, but we expect to. If not, the alternative would be we win the Champions League and we give a good account of ourselves in the title race. That would be the somewhat acceptable alternative. Annoying, yes, but making number 7 happen would be very, very good indeed. I understand that some Liverpool fans are unbearable, but my caveat to that is there are fans of every other fan base that are unbearable. Every other fan base has a selection of fans who are unbearable. Everybody. So I get what you mean. Sometimes I don't even like some of our own fans. There are some fans online and on various platforms, and one in particular on a kind of big platform that does me head in sometimes, that I don't even like sometimes. And sometimes they have good points. And most of the time they just chat utter nonsense. But everybody has them. And I get what you mean. But that's my only caveat to that. We've had no links to Ramos, unfortunately. There's still time. There's still 3 weeks left. In my opinion, Samu was our last option to replace Isak. Growing feeling from Newcastle fans is Isak will probably stay. I don't see how. I just don't see how. You could be right. You very well could be right, and Isak could be staying, but I just don't see how. After everything that's now kicked off, after the toxicity and everything, I just don't see how. And I say I could be wrong. But I just don't see how. I think the way Newcastle handled the Isak saga has been damaging to their transfer window. They should have let him go the first time we came calling. I understand why they kept hold of him. I think there's a lot more than just the Isak saga that has hindered Newcastle's transfer window. The fact that they've been rejected a number of times has also been something to consider. Lad, Newcastle are only big in Newcastle, not asked if we get him or not, to be honest. Big up, Liam. Are you doing well, my bro? I'd say that Newcastle are a bit of a sleeping giant in English football. I'll leave it at that. With respect, Liverpool. Yeah, I know 110 million was lowball. I think we were just testing the waters just to see if we could get him cheaper, if we could bring Newcastle's price down. And I think mainly to see the reaction of Alexander Isak, in all honesty. I think that was mainly the reason. Isak is going to Liverpool. Even Newcastle are aware of it. Big up A. I hope you're doing well, my bro. Or is it Coco? I'll just call you Coco. Cool. Yeah, big up to you, my friend. And yeah, I agree. I think Isak is going to go to Liverpool at the end. Well, between now and the end of the transfer window. Not sure when. Not sure how long this is going to be dragged out for. But I am pretty confident Isak will go. And if he doesn't go, then I'll take it on the chin. But I'm pretty confident he will. Over 100 million is a joke. How many 100 million have there been? True. Your club is lucky to be able to get a fee that big. Again, it's getting a bit personal between you two. Chill out. It's getting a bit heated. It'll be 120. I think what Indy Kalia said earlier, I think it will be like a base fee of 120 and then add-ons. I've got a feeling that will be... I'm not saying that 5 million in add-ons will be enough, but I feel like the 120 is the base fee, and then whatever add-ons goes on is going to be the fee. As soon as Vissa goes through the door, that's it. I think that's the trigger. That's the domino that needs falling. Big up Simo, how you doing well, my bro? Just subscribe. I really do appreciate that, my friend. Really, really do appreciate that. This has been a very good stream. Really enjoyed talking to you all. I've absolutely enjoyed it. Absolutely really enjoyed it. So I can't thank you all enough for being here. And like I say, big up to Simo for subscribing. Really do appreciate you being here. Doesn't matter in current striker market. Isak is worth well past that. Isak will go for less than 150. Newcastle pierced that bargaining power away. I think he will go for less than 150 as well. Yeah, I think he will go for less than 150. I think there will be a compromise, but it's still going to be a high fee, and it probably still will be a world record fee for at least a Premier League player. Gahey is coming. I agree. I've been banging that drum all summer, and it seems like we're finally making the moves. We've done what we can. Isak's behaviour is due to reassurances from Liverpool, but our not for sale stance is what's needed. For reference, not for sale means 150 million or don't bother. So he is for sale. So he is for sale, bro. This is what I've been saying, right? This whole not for sale thing, and it's not just Newcastle because every club does it. Don't say, I know you say not for sale to kind of scare everybody off, but you can't in the same sentence go not for sale unless you put in a bid of 150. Because that means he is for sale for a very, very high price. You can't have it both ways. You can't have he's not for sale, but only if you give us a very, very high price. Because that means he is for sale. That's the annoying thing that I've had a problem with throughout the majority of this saga. This saga has been annoying for that, and it's been annoying because certain Newcastle fans have jumped onto that and gone, well, then there's no way that he's going to Liverpool. Well, there is a chance. Saudi, no government in breaking from Fabrizio Romano, apparently. I don't know where he said this. I would like to know the full stance of this. Liverpool have already agreed personal terms with Mark Gahey. Giovanni Leone is also keen on the move to Liverpool. The club is working on completing both deals. Personal terms done. Personal terms apparently are done with Gahey. Now it's just about club-to-club negotiations. Love it. It was a figure of speech. Oh, you guys still going on. UK laws apply in the UK, not Saudi laws in the UK. Fletcher's not seem emotional about comments. What do you mean by that? Flesh does not seem to be emotional about comments on his channel. I don't know what you... Is that a good thing? I don't know. That's gone way over my head, bro. Sorry. Obviously, there are comments he will remove if it gets really nasty, but he is chill. Yeah, I'm... Oh, right, okay, I get me. Yeah, I'm chill, bro. This is... As long as there's no genuine hate, as long as there's nothing that crosses the line in terms of like homophobia, sexism, racism, anything along those lines, as long as that's not in the comments, like, you guys just go for it. This is why I encourage talking football, because it's what I love to do. And I love hearing what you guys have to say, because if it's just me, it's boring. And then I go crazy and I go insane. But I love it that you're all here. I love that you're all here. I love that you're all interacting. I love that you're liking and you're subscribing and you're liking what you see and you're getting involved and you're talking to me. And, you know, this is why hopefully this platform does get bigger, because I just love doing this with all of you. It's just fun to do. It's just so much fun to do. And you guys are making it so much better for me, as I hope I am for you at the same time, of course. RD, long time no see, my bro. Long time no see. 16, you still do your football content. It's Robbie, if you still remember me. Yes. My memory is terrible, but I do vaguely remember again, I do apologize, bro. My memory is so fried. But I do somewhat remember. I'm pretty sure I do. But long time. I hope you're doing well, my bro. I hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you back with us. You're thinking Calimuendo. I'm dealing with him either. I don't know. It just feels like you've been linked with every other striker under the sun. Feels like what Tottenham were going through a few years ago. You know, when they were going through a new manager and they went through every other manager before they landed on Postecoglou. Just feels like that with Newcastle right now. They're just going through every striker name available. They're going through Football Manager and going, this striker, no. This striker, no. This striker, no. How are you, Flags? What's going on, mate? Big up Bush Baptist. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Yeah, we're coming towards the end now because I've been rambling on for just over 3 hours. So we are going to be wrapping up very soon. But really do appreciate it. I hope you're doing well, my bro. What's gone on? Well, we've sat here for the past 3 hours and we've talked about Alexander Isak and about how crazy and bizarre this saga is. Like, it's been a mad one, bro. It's been an absolute mad one. Obviously, we've thrown in some Mark Gahey stuff and Giovanni Leone as well in there as well. That's been breaking as we've been live. So there's been a couple of big things to touch upon in terms of that aspect. But yeah, there's been some very good stuff going on, bro. Very, very good stuff. Very positive stuff for Liverpool. Talk some Newcastle as well. Big up. I don't know how to properly pronounce your name, bro. I do apologize. I'm going to just take a stab at it, and I do apologize if I'm butchering it. Ypsilon. I do apologize, but big up to you. Hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you here with us. There's no bigger ego than NCU fans thinking they could keep Isak and get Ekatike. That was a madness. Has anyone seen the Newcastle fan online that someone's obviously morphed it into a montage, but he's basically gone Newcastle playing 8D chess, and he's talking about, oh, we were going after Brian and Buomo, but we let Man United have it so that they don't have any money and they blow their transfer budget, so that we can then choose to get Ekatike and Benjamin Sesko. But again, Man United will go in for Sesko. Ekatike. But Liverpool will come in for Ekatike, and then they will get him. And then that leaves the door wide open for us to get Benjamin Sesko. And it's like, bro, you could not have been more wrong. And don't get me wrong, as football content creators and things of that nature, and even anybody that has predictions, we're going to get stuff wrong. But he's had an absolute howler. He's had an absolute howler in that. It's been mad. Big up Wilke. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I am really sorry if I'm butchering names. I'm really terrible with them. You have to bear with me. I do apologize, but I'm going to say Wilke. If I'm wrong, let me know in the chat. Big up to you, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us today. Big up Lee says, big up Reds. Big up yourself, my bro. Lovely to have you here. No, me and sound good. That's good. That's good. I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you. I do enjoy the like I say, I enjoy the back and forth. And maybe I shouldn't read every comment out because if you guys are interacting with each other, I feel like that's you. But I don't know. I'm still getting used to how I want to do things. I don't really know yet. That's good. That's good. I'm glad you guys are all good. What they want and what they get is not going to be much different, but we will get him. What Newcastle fans seem to forget is the same behaviour from Anthony Gordon when they wanted him. We were talking about Johan Visser as well. Newcastle fans are not pointing at Johan Visser and complaining about his current behaviour for Brentford, but they seem to have a problem with Isak. Or at least some Newcastle fans. There was LEDC earlier who was actually very consistent on what he was saying in the chat, and big up to him if he's still here. And yeah, the not for sale is just posturing. I get it's annoying, and to be honest, a lot of Newcastle fans just want him to go because we care too much about loyalty. Problem is no good enough replacements, and this is the other side of it as well. This is the other side of it as well, right? If Isak wasn't a good player, no one would be moaning from Newcastle because Liverpool, we wouldn't be paying obviously 115 million for a not as good player. But, you know, if it wasn't that good of a player, Newcastle wouldn't have a major problem with it. If we were going after, just naming a random Newcastle player on the top of my head, if we were going after a Fabian Schär, I know he's a good defender. I know he's good for Newcastle. But I also don't think there would be this amount of uproar. So we expect loyalty from players that are good enough to play for our club. But if we don't like a player, or if we felt we don't care for that player anymore, or that player's past his use-by date, or whatever the case may be, all of a sudden, we go, don't care how long you got on your contract, get out of my club. That's the other side of it. Loyalty works two ways, and football fans, like I say, they're fickle when it comes to those kinds of aspects. We expect loyalty from players that we admire and we love and we respect. But when it comes down to players that we simply do not care for anymore, we're all too happy to throw them out the door. And again, my club are similar. My club are the same. No one gets away with this because, and I love Liverpool to death, right? But this past summer, Trent Alexander-Arnold left Liverpool to join Real Madrid. I sat on the fence with that, but a lot of Liverpool fans didn't. They were all too happy to throw stuff at Trent and to, you know, say get good riddance, get rid. And some of them were, mainly those ones that were saying that, were angry because he's a Scouser. It should mean more, that kind of thing. And I could see it from that angle. But what about the Scousers that we've got rid of before? What about the Scousers that left for nothing? What about the Scousers that weren't good enough to maybe make it into the Liverpool Academy? What about the Scousers that we've sold in the past? Again, loyalty is, in football especially, a strange thing that we pick and choose when to use and play that card. We say that loyalty should be about honouring a contract, but if a player that we don't like is deciding to honour that contract and doesn't care if he's playing or not, oh, you're disrespecting the club. That's horrible. How dare you not move on for the benefit of the club? The club is bigger than you. But yet, because it's a player that everybody likes, everybody enjoys watching, everybody is all there when it comes to Alexander Isak, all of a sudden, we demand loyalty. We demand better. It's just something to think about. It's just something to really think about in this. It's just an interesting layer to add. And LEDC, if you're still in the building, and I know you were talking about loyalty before, about having players honor their contracts and stuff, and I did agree to an extent with you. I just wanted to know from that angle what you think, if you're still here, or if anybody has that kind of feeling. Would love to know what you guys think about that kind of loyalty. It's all good, bro. It was like 6 years ago in Mackie's days. Still regret not doing the Japan trip. Oh, yeah, it completely clicked. It's just completely clicked. Right, it's just completely clicked now. It was vaguely there, and then you just said that, and yeah, it's just completely. I really hope you're doing well, my bro. It's absolutely amazing that you're here. Absolutely awesome. Really do miss you, my bro. Like, awesome stuff. Yeah, I was about to say, like, it was vaguely there, and I was like, RD, Robbie. Yeah, and then you just said that, and it clicked. I really hope you're doing well, my dude. Really one of the good guys. Really do hope you're doing well. Have Liverpool put in a bid for Peter Beardsley? Maybe if you're playing Football Manager from whenever. Big up to you, my bro. Big up to you. Even Isak going to Liverpool in general would hurt, but we'd accept it. The behavior from Isak, who we always thought was a cool guy, has just broken. I understand that. It's always annoying when you're like, oh, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't turn against the club. He wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do that. And then, yeah, this kind of thing happens. Yeah. I wasn't expecting Trent to lead the club on the way that he did, but apparently he did. In the same way that you're probably weren't expecting Isak to do this. Because he did seem like he was a cool guy. It did seem like he wouldn't kick up a fuss and he just let things play out the way that they have done, which can only make me think more so that there were broken promises there. That's the only thing I can think of as to why he would act this way. But it is what it is. Oh, John, another name I can't. I'm so bad with names. Victola. Or should I say Victola? Hope you're doing well and lovely to have you on board with us this afternoon. Loyalty exists, but it is very rare. Very true. Very true. And like I say, we pick and choose as football fans when to play that card. Longstaff left because he had 1 year left on his current contract and he knew he'd be leaving on a free next year, so he viewed it as a good move. I wish we had someone who viewed it like that, rather than lead us on, just to collect that agent fee. Well, not agent, that sign-on fee. Giant sign-on fee, all for himself. Money. Shame as well, because Longstaff was not really a player that you're like, oh my god, he's like world class, he's a world beater. But Longstaff was a very good squad player to have. Very capable, very consistent, just comes in, does a job. Energy for days. He's at Leeds now, isn't he? Is it Leeds he went to? I want to say he went to Leeds. I could be wrong. I want to say he went to Leeds. I'm pretty confident he went to Leeds. Anyway, fair play if they did get him. Gerrard was loyal. Totti was loyal. Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't get it. You don't really get it in the modern day. Modern day games, you don't really get it. Or you get players that decide to stay for mountains and things like that and then go the year after to Arsenal. Like, what's that all about? Big up, my bro. Big love to you, man. Big love to you. Isak's agent is to blame. He's their cash cow. Look at what else. Who else on the books? A bunch of nobodies. They're trying to milk Isak for all they can. And wouldn't you do the same if you had a valuable commodity? If you had a valuable commodity, wouldn't you try and milk it for all you have? If, of course, he had a contract to honour with no way of getting out of that contract. I don't blame Newcastle. I don't blame anybody in this situation completely. I think Liverpool are not to blame. I think there is partial blame on Isak. I think there is partial blame on Newcastle. Liverpool just want a player, and they're trying to be as respectful as they can with it. You can maybe argue about the media, but until it's proven that Liverpool drops stuff in the media, I don't know if you can. Just something to think about. What about the money these days from Anonymous? Absolutely agree. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Lovely to have you on board with us. As a Liverpool fan, big up Kevin Tucker. Hope you're doing well, my bro. As a Liverpool fan, definitely fed up with it all now. Newcastle and Liverpool, not done professionally. When you make a deal, you keep quiet. Then you tell people. As a Liverpool fan, definitely like Newcastle. I have a soft spot for Newcastle too. I agree with you. I'm done with it as well. I'm done with talking about it. I'm done with these pointless updates, especially from Fabrizio Romano sometimes, where he basically comes out with... He basically starts it like it's something new, and then it's like, well, we knew that already. He starts off like a tweet, and it'll be like emojis or something. And then it'll basically turn around and be like, no movement yet on Isak. Things remain the same. Isak won't move until Newcastle make a move. And you're like, thanks for wasting my time, dude. What the hell is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you? And I know that it's basically, he's caving into popular demand because people are like, what about Isak? Let me know about Isak. What's the latest on Isak? So I know he's caving in, but just don't give them people anything. Just don't give those people anything. And it's fine. You don't have to. You just have to say, read the last tweet. Read the last tweet on Isak. That's all you have to say. Isak's agent is known in the industry for being an absolute... Who is his agent and who is he also representing? I don't really know his agent. I don't really know his agent. Or maybe I do. I don't know. Liverpool have absolutely turned Isak's head in the same way they did with Gordon last summer. We are a very attractive club. We are a very, very attractive club. That's it. We're just a very attractive club. That's all I can say. We're a very attractive club. We're a step up from Newcastle. There you have it. That's why. Most Newcastle fans have let Isak leave if he'd done in the right way, but his behaviour has been abhorrent. Newcastle fans would have let him leave, but they're not the ones that are the gatekeepers. It's the Newcastle board that are. And I'm sure that he would have wanted to have tried to have been as respectful as possible. But because Newcastle decided to play a bit of hardball with Liverpool, it seems as though he had to kind of take it to the extreme a little bit. And again, whether you agree on that or not is down to your own opinion. Bush Practice says that he thinks over transfers is pretty old school, really. Only read about it. When it's happened, non-stories now pay just as good money as truth. There is a lot of BS out there. There is a lot of BS out there, bro. And you know, as good as what I think, as good and interesting and exciting as what the likes of David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano are, I think there are plenty of arguments to suggest that they have somewhat ruined the transfer window. At least growing up, it tended to be that you either read about it in a local paper about transfers, or you just saw it on TV. And, you know, slow sports news was probably even slower back then. But that's how it used to be anyway. So for as good as what Ornstein and Romano and everybody else that's kind of in that kind of realm now is you can argue it's good. I think you can also argue that it's not that great. It's hindered the game a little bit. Still interesting and exciting, but there are moments where you can say, yeah, we're done. Vlado Lemic, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, is Isak's agent. Look him up. No one has a good word to say about him. It's mad that these so-called nice footballers often surround themselves with disgusting agents. Maybe it's in the job description of an agent to be a complete prick. I mean, I know he's passed away, and I don't wish for death and anything on anybody, but Mino Raiola really made agents become, well, I don't know if they were beforehand, but he was at least the first agent that I remember the name of and remember seeing regularly. He really seemingly made agents become despised and hated. I don't know if that's a trend from him. I don't know if that happened before him. It probably did. But I don't know, man. Certain agents just seem to it's like, do you want to become an agent? What are your qualifications? Well, I'm a complete prick. You're in. You're hired. I'm overthinking on this is like that school Field of Dreams where the guy builds a baseball ground for ghosts. I've not seen that film, actually. But we built Anfield and he will come. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think he will fit like a glove at Liverpool. I think he'll fit like a glove. I'm okay, mate. Thanks. Just don't get football now. Just getting all out of hand a bit. Has been big merry-go-round. No player loyal to the club. The number of Wayne Rooney, once a blue, always a blue. He said. I'm glad you're good, bro. I'm glad that you are good. I agree. I've spoke about loyalty. I've said about loyalty. I've said that loyalty is a strange thing that football fans use. Football fans use in good ways, in bad ways. They pick and choose when they use it. And I agree with you. The merry-go-round of the transfer window is just bizarre. It's just crazy. It's just bizarre. And I agree. I completely agree with you, my bro. Completely agree. So it does get out of hand a little bit. I think on some level, it is somewhat exciting. It is somewhat interesting. But yeah, loyalty is, as we mentioned earlier, very rare these days. Very rare these days to find loyalty. There isn't many players that you'd say are extremely loyal. That are one club men or probably like two club men, ones that maybe go to spend their final year of their career elsewhere or something. You know, that kind of loyalty. They don't kind of go to join a club higher than them in pursuit of fame and silverware and things. It's very rare. It's a mixture of both. And on that bombshell, indeed, we'll get the final comment from Slapping a Bird's Arse, which is an interesting name, to say the least. We'll get the final comment from you, my friend, and then we're going to wrap it up because I've been going for 3.5 hours and I am in need of refueling. This isn't the first time Isak has done this either. He did the same thing with his move to Real Sociedad, so don't think it's out of character for him. Could be Liverpool next. I don't know much about his move to Real Sociedad, so I'm going to have to look that up. I'll take your word for it for right now, but I have to definitely look up how things ended there. And it could, I said before, you could be very right. Someone else brought up a similar point earlier on. And you could be very much right. It could happen. The only thing is that you're reducing the number of teams it could happen to. Because with all due respect, like I said earlier, the only real teams that are above Liverpool right now, as I think Jack Grealish's move has just been confirmed to Everton, the only team that are really above Liverpool is Real Madrid. And somewhat Barcelona. But depends on Barca's financial situation. So unless Real Madrid do come in for him, it's very unlikely that Isak is going to want to perceive or pursue a move to someone bigger. And with all due respect again, Liverpool are normally good at working out deals. We're not good at doing our own deals in terms of contracts for whatever reason, but we are normally very good at negotiating sales, as we have done this summer. Jarell Kwanzaa for 30 million, 18 million or so for Kelleher, 60, 70 odd million or whatever it was for Luis Diaz. I can't even remember now, top of my head. And then for just under 50 million for Darwin Núñez. Pretty good money. And potentially more in terms of obviously add-ons and clauses and things like that. It could happen with Liverpool. There's no doubt about it. But I'd say that the chances are it's, unless Liverpool take a huge nosedive in the next couple of years, it's unlikely to happen. I'd say it's more so unlikely than it would be at Newcastle. And as Bush Practice says, on that bombshell, we're going to wrap things up. Guys, I honestly cannot thank you enough for this. This has been one of the maddest and best streams I've ever done. I've absolutely really enjoyed talking to each and every single one of you. And we did reach the target of 900 come the end of the stream. So thank you to each and every single one of you. I cannot honestly thank you enough. You guys are absolutely awesome. It's been an extremely good and great stream. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for the contributions, whether it be the likes, the subscribes throughout this stream, or even from each and every single one of you in the chat. Really, really great talking to each and every single one of you. Really did enjoy it. Some good questions, some good challenges, mixed in with a little bit of banter as well. We had everything. It was really, really fun talking to you all. No, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Absolutely awesome from you. Right, I'm off. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Check out my Premier League predictions video from earlier on if you haven't already. Get your predictions in on that video. I would love to hear what you have to say on that. And without further ado, I bid you a fond farewell, and I will see you again in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.